pinball.
Oh yeah.
You scored 0.
Oh yeah.
You scored 0. Triple mode. Enable. Let's play pinball.
Oh yeah.
You scored 0.
Oh yeah.
You scored 0.
Can't find myself. 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 can't find myself.
All right, folks, the FNCS finals are here. 30 teams have fought all season to get in, but let me remind you of the 3 who have been hungry to fight. The Deal, Noah Riley, and Reason, a destructive trio who erased a legion of players with swift strikes.
The dual Reason trying to just puncture these boxes more with shots, with a little bit of piece control, but it's not possible. Reason drops down from the right side, gets Kiko. He gets traded. I think it's a 1v2 now. No, it might just be a 1v1 Slender versus Vidil. Okay, let's see what we got. Big bouncer, big shot, 100, followed by more. Vidil is insane.
Flick, Anas, Thomas HD, the most explosive trio in EU with a lethal pop-off potential. You know you could shake off an L with a big fat W, but Flick says take this L, SETI, right to the chest. Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD cannot be stopped, and they pick up Teak. Oh my goodness, this trio from a blaze from up high is now putting so much pressure on Cammy, and Cammy's deep with the heels, but he's getting big time tagged in the back. But wow, what a finish from Thomas HD, Flick, and Anas. And finally, our defending FNCS champions, 3 kings who rule with tenacity, Hen, Chapix, and Janice.
And with that elimination, it will be a 2v2 all the way towards the very end. Seen it multiple times today, but this is for the lock-in. Big retake by Hen, unstoppable. And now dropping down off the eye drop with the big shot. 1, 2, 3 to the head. He's insane. Hen and Janice, alongside Chapix, have done it. The champions of Europe.
That gives us our 33 trios locked in and 1 weekend to see who will be this season's champion. It's the European FNCS. Let's get it started.
Welcome to the qualifier rounds. A semi-final round with 3 heats and a reboot round has left us with the 30 very best trios that EU has to offer. The remaining 3, your top 3 from last season's FNCS finals. 33 trios have boarded the battle bus and will go head to head on the island for the next 2 days of competition. At the end of 12 games, only one of these trios can be crowned FNCS Trios champions. Welcome to the FNCS Finals. What's going on, Fortnite fam? It's your boy Zeke, and today is a fantastic day. I cannot contain all my excitement, so instead, I'm going to introduce 2 of my friends. It's Reese, it's Levin.
I am. You know I am. Every morning I come tell you, I'm so hyped. I woke up this morning, I watched Asia, I watched a bit of OCE at the same time, and I was like, man, this EU finals is about 6 hours away. So I took a nap, powered up, readied up, loaded, and here we are ready to break it up. So I did that little time travel to get ahead, and here we are. Super keen. Can't wait.
Yeah, you know, the past month and a bit have just all been leading up to this weekend, right? Some of the best Fortnite we've ever seen be played. And to think that we have even more spectacular Fortnite to take place this weekend, I'm like you, Zeke, I'm just trying to keep all my excitement in, but I just can't help it.
Bro, I'm trying so hard, but this is what we wait for. This is what we live for, and this is what we build an entire season. Leads us here to this very time. So we got to start the show, man. We'll get into these games in just a little bit, but first we got to talk about a few housekeeping things before we ourselves can board the battle bus. Let's talk about the overall tournament format. You guys know we start the day in Europe. We've got 6 matches today. We'll come back tomorrow for the last 6 and then crown an FNCS Trios champion in EU. But don't forget, we've also got 6 matches in NA East and NA West. So if you like what you're seeing, come back throughout the rest of the day. We'll be here. We'll be covering the action and bringing that hype. Let's look at the overall tournament format bracket. You've seen this already. You're a master with this graphic. It's not even scary. It's FNCS finals time. 2 days of action. Reese, what has led us here? What is this all about?
Look, there's been a lot that's led us here, but you know, I'm going to turn it a little bit. Let's focus on what we actually need to focus on today, right? You can see on the left how all of the top 33 teams, the best in the region, have made it through here currently to the finals, which is going to be 2 days of competition, 6 games today, and then we're going to watch 6 games tomorrow, and the scores are going to tally on all the way through the 2 days. So we will be crowning our winners tomorrow, not today, but this will again build all the way up. And those people who come first will be the champions for the Chapter 2 Season 6, and they will obviously also get the crown that you want to have, the Axe of Champions.
Yeah, how do these guys actually get those points to be able to rise up the standings? Well, you can see here the point format. Players will receive 2 points per every single elimination. you'll start to receive placement points once you're one of the last 24 teams remaining in the lobby. And at that point, you will continue to incrementally receive placement points all the way until you're left with that final team standing. The team that gets the victory royale will receive 30 points per placement on top of any potential eliminations they've had in the game. So we've seen over the qualifiers, even in last season's finals, teams just have massive point games to put them back into contention, and you're bound to see that this weekend.
And we can't forget what they're fighting for. Look at these prize pools, 7 regions. And now you're probably thinking, but Zeke, we're in Europe. Don't worry. We can take a deeper dive into this. Now, keep in mind, your number one team, $300,000, but they will also walk away with the Axe of Champions. However, every trio will receive something for making it to the finals. You'll love to see it. So there may not be a battle at the top, but at the end of the day, there will be battle for placements, because the higher up you can place, the more money you will walk away at the end. Now, gentlemen, we got to shift gears, okay? We've saw these 7 regions, and some of them have already wrapped up their first day of competition, their first 6 games. It's Asia, it's OCE. So what I want to do is take a look at the standings. We can see kind of how their days ended and what that might look like for us. Over in Asia, 137 points. Levin, this is somewhat comfortable, I feel like.
Well, you could definitely say that, but if you look at the actual margins between all the teams sitting there towards the top, I wouldn't say it is too comfortable. You know, it's very, very tight at that top. It's going to be an interesting second day for Asia. It's going to be about who can really come out and sort of try to take their way away from the pack, right? There's a lot of, you know, sort of teams who look like they're in contention right now. You can see that at the bottom in 10th, Q-Jack, NATO, and Rex. That is the team that actually won FNCS last season. So they'll be looking to sort of have a bit of a better day too. Definitely not, you know, out of the picture by any means, but they're going to want to sort of get in towards the top of the leaderboards and try get that back to back.
Yeah, I think people often sleep on this kind of region a little bit because they think of it smaller, but you can see the depth of competition by how close that is. But moving on to OCE as well, what a performance by Bathan, Zedux, and Theo. 3 victory royales out of the 6 games, 234 points in first. This is absolutely incredible start. But in second, this is our returning champions from last season, the TNA trio of Muzz, Looter, and Speedy. And basically last season, these guys were in a very, very similar position. They were 45 points behind the first place at the end of day 1, and then they managed to clutch that back up. So if I was watching this region tomorrow in their final 6 games, I would definitely be thinking that Muzzler and Speedy have that ability to pick it up. But again, Bath and Zedux and CO are so good today. It'll be really hard to trump them. Let's be real. They probably already got something like a top 5 just for the points that they've already managed to attain.
My goodness. And you know what? That's all cool and incredible. But guys, we got to turn our attention back to EU because there's a few things we got to touch on before we can get these games started. We have not seen these trios all season long, and it's because they've auto-qualified being your top 3 from Chapter 2, Season 5, aka last season. We're going to go from 3rd to 1st. We got to start it off. No Rally, Vidil, and Reason. Boys, a trio with a disappointing finish at the end. They were only 7 points behind first place, and in their last game only got 4 points. They are hungry, and they want to strike back with a vengeance.
Yeah, I think these guys, look, they are absolutely a top team, no doubt. And I think they were a little bit disappointed last season because they had first potentially in the bag going into that final game. They had it all loaded ready. And that last game had some unfortunate circumstances for them by any means. So again, this season, they're definitely hungry coming back in and trying to get that first place slot.
Yeah, and I think with, you know, coming into the season, there were a lot of questions about their motivation, right? You know, a lot of questions about whether they were ready to come back into the new season and be able to just grind it out. And they answered all those questions relatively easy, not even playing in the FNCS qualifiers and all other competitions. They showed, look, we're still here. We're going to come back next finals and we're going to try and make up for what went wrong and win the whole thing. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how they play today.
And you know, Levin, this is another trio you're pretty fond of. It's Flick, it's Anas, it's Thomas HD. Thomas, known for precision aiming, tearing people's faces off at long range. But they finished 3rd 2 seasons ago, 2nd last season. Could this be that season? Could they get that #1 spot, Levin?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think, you know, you look at it and they definitely will be looking to try and close that distance and really finally get that major tournament win, right? You know, like you said, they came 3rd 2 seasons ago, 2nd last season. you know, they're going to be looking around and thinking, this has to be the one, surely, right? And you look at the experience they have together, they're one of the longest standing trios that sort of stuck together. And so that chemistry they have is going to be really pivotal in how they perform today.
Yeah, and looking at like where they're landing, Dirty Dogs, they seem to have got it completely uncontested as well right now. Mathematically, like we've already mentioned, seems like first could be on the cards for them today, and they seem to be completely set up with that, with a lot of contested teams dropping around them. So I bet these guys in Danish Docs, as they like to call it, have a bunch of smiles on their face right now too.
You know, you did just mention first, and Sancho hyped them up. We cannot forget your reigning champions, Hen, Janice, and Chapix. I mean, Janice, your FNCS winner coming in. They are undefeated. They have not placed outside of 4th in last season, and now they are here to hopefully retain the title. Boys, do you guys think that they could hang on to this title?
Look, it's going to be tough for these guys because they are contested in Craig Cliffs by a really, really good team, which is High Chris's team right now. But again, I think nearly every single game these guys get off spawn. We'll need to see how that fight goes. They are going to dominate because there aren't many games that as soon as they get out of Craig Cliffs, they aren't so good at getting a large amount of points off. So I do see these guys definitely climbing high up, and I want to see them going for that 2 times.
Yeah, they're most definitely still considered one of the best trios in the world, if not, you know, the best. And I think they're definitely going to be optimistic about their chances of spawn, even though they are contested. The big question is, you know, what happens off spawn, right? You know, we're going to dive into all of that a bit later, but there is a lot of off spawn contention. It's strange to see one of the best teams be contested off spawn. But take a look at this, right? This is some stats from last season. Insane stuff. Last season's FNCS finals, they had 3 victorials of the 12 games. They won a quarter of the games that day, right? No surprise that they were able to run away with it and win it all out. They had an average placement of 7.17 on the day. Like, these guys are just so accustomed to being consistent and making it to these end games, whether they're playing high ground, low ground, or mid ground. They are just bound to get you results.
Yeah, and you know, out of the 10 games that they'd played, the results definitely came through in those kind of 12, right? 10 of them, they managed to make into the top 10. A lot of 10s, I understand, but only 2 games basically didn't manage to get into the top 10. So incredible consistency. So again, we're going to need to watch them off spawn, see if they manage to give that again. But when they do get off spawn, last season, out of the 126 minutes of game time that they had, only 9 minutes of those were without a single teammate. So huge, incredible consistency, managing not to lose even a single teammate, despite being really aggressive in that early and mid game. So these guys are definitely ones we need to be looking out for.
All right, now I want to talk about their POIs. You guys did kind of hint at this a little bit. I want to see like where they're landing, because remember, this is a brand new season. We have seen some shakeups. Are they landing somewhere else? Are they being contested, and or what are their like potential paths to victory here in the FNCS finals?
What I think you'll find is, for the most part, you know, these guys are sort of sticking to the same spots. We sort of alluded to it. Craggy Cliffs is going to be the POI of choice for Hen, Janice, and Chapix, and rightfully so. You know, I think they definitely do deserve the title of Kings of Craggy. It is just that they will be contested today, and so how does that turn out? Another team who is obviously returning to their POI of choice, Dirty Docs, Thomas, Anas, and Flick. It's funny, Reese, because all season long, they weren't playing in the qualifiers. We had all these teams landing Dirty Docs. You know, you had the Michael, Verox, and Mexis of the world contesting it. You had other teams contesting it. You're thinking, oh boy, if one of these teams qualifies, that's going to be a problem for Anas, Thomas, and Flick. These guys have been sitting back the whole season, sitting back thinking, you guys are doing all of that, and none of you even made it to the finals. Like, we're just sitting here uncontested. They'll be happy about that. I think the one spot, though, where we will see one of our top 3 teams has decided to switch things up, Boney Burbs. No Riley, Vidil, and Reason are choosing to go Boney Burbs, so they are going to be uncontested, and that's going to be a threat for the rest of the lobby. The question will be, you know, how did they deal with Surge? How did they look in a more stacked lobby coming out of that spot?
Yeah, and I think you alluded to a really good point in particular about, you know, Flick and Ass and Thomas on Dirty Dogs at this moment, completely uncontested. And that just shows with them, same with No Riley, Vidil, and Reason, that these two are teams that none of our kind of contenders that we're playing against want to go anywhere near. They said they're incredible fighters. We don't want to potentially just ruin our own tournament by landing on you guys. So they've clearly put their mark on those 2 POIs just purely by reputation alone, realistically.
And, you know, I love that you guys are doing this, because, like, if you're looking at the map, it's basically like a death triangle, right? But there's other triangles like this on the map. On the other side, you've got Sweaty Sands, you've got Holly Hedges, and you have Boney Burbs. You know, Reese, I feel like a lot of these trios have struggled with Storm Surge. So what are their strategies hanging out here on the west side of the map?
Look, This is going to be tough for a lot of these teams in this era because Sweaty Sands, we've got Tayson, Nate, and FourZR and Sweaty Sands uncontested. We've already mentioned Boney Burbs as a reason for deal, no Riley, and we've Holly Hedges, who is Fremont, Wolfie, and Default. Now, in this lobby that we're looking at, these three teams are probably the best fighters. Maybe there's some other teams, Henjan is Chappie's up there too, but definitely in the kind of top teams for fighting, and they're all going to be landing very, very close to each other, which is really scary for trying to get Storm Surge early on. Because you've got to think, one of these teams can't go this way, they can't go this way, and they can't go this way, because it would be not a good choice, we'll say, to push into one of the other teams, which means this is going to get a little bit messy, and that's the whole point here. Holly Hedges may push over to the kind of left side where Tonzi, Bloomy, and Percy is, but also at the same time, Tayson and Mate rotate that way too, so they could get into a fight there. They might rotate north, they might rotate up to Sweaty Stronghold, where also the Pleasant team is going there. Then you got to think about going south. In all of their qualifiers and the heats, every one of these teams has decided to move down to Weeping to get Surge at some point. You can see the trend of a lot of arrows over crossing each other, but again, at the same time, teams are looking to push into Weeping because there's two teams contesting there. You're going to have teams from here, teams from here, teams from here. You can see there's a lot of congestion in this left side with a lot of top teams. It is rightfully a mess on this side of the map, and looking at how these teams are going to fight and get Storm Surge is going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah, and I think even beyond that, right, the reason why this lobby is just going to be defined as one of the most stacked, if not the most stacked EU finals lobby, just finals lobby in general. It's just the amount of contention that we're seeing off spawn, right? You look at, the likes of Stealthy Stronghold, where you have two phenomenal teams there. Wise's trio is there. Amexa's trio, who made it through the reboot round, is going to be there. You look at Misty Meadows, right? You have Fastrokey, Ardent Pizza. They literally broke records during the qualifiers. They're going to be contesting against the Mentos' team, which is a very experienced team with the Mentos and Jamside in them. You look at the likes of Lazy Lake as well. There's contention there as well. We have two strong teams landing at Lazy Lake, contesting each other. Same thing could be said about Retail as well. Like, you have all these teams being contested at all these spots, even beyond just the FNCS finalists or winners, I should say, landing at Craggy Cliffs. All these spots being contested. The casters are going to have a field day being able to watch all that action. Like, it's going to be so hard to follow it because all of these fights are just going to be so fun to watch.
And I hope you guys at home get the point. This is stacked, okay? Nowhere is safe, and especially with only 12 games, every single interaction is so important, so vital to climbing up the standings and taking one step closer to becoming FNCS Trios champions. Now, we've talked about the trios at large, but boys, we got to talk about our predictions. Which trios we think will walk away FNCS Trios champions. Now, Levin, you and Shio, you guys are in agreement here.
Yeah, we've both gone with Anas, Flick, and Thomas, and I think there's great reason for it. These guys are just so close. They seem like they can finally come out and win an FNCS. All three of them are just so phenomenal. You sort of alluded to it earlier, Zeke, where, Thomas is the Sniper King. Well, even when the Sniper got voted, he became the Bow King, right? They're just so skilled. They have the talent, they have the synergy, the chemistry's there, they have Dirty Uncontested, and I believe they can do it this weekend.
Yeah, I think you've picked a top three pick, but I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go Tayson, FourZR, and Nate. Looking at their games throughout the qualifiers, you know what? There's a little dicey. They're a little all over the place, but last week in the semifinals, they changed everything. They clearly fixed their game plan up and were so strong. I spoke to Tayson yesterday. He basically said we fixed every error in our gameplay, and the only thing we need to worry about is Storm Surge. So if you see them with a high amount of Storm Surge in the early game, you better be worried that these guys are going to get a lot of points in that game.
Yeah, and Sancho's gone with Refsguard and Dretta and Mr. Savage, who are a very strong pick. These guys have a lot of experience landing Steamy. They finally have Steamy stacks uncontested in the case of Refsguard and Dretta. And you know what? Sancho even went even further with that. Sancho thinks, well, he said, this is a prediction from Sancho West, guys. Mr. Savage, last game, gonna clutch up as a solo to just win the whole thing, right? Some crazy level stuff that we haven't seen since, DreamHack Anaheim and events like that. So definitely would be interesting. If that does happen, Sancho, I'm going to be looking at you sideways because I don't know how you've made such a specific prediction like that. But definitely a lot of teams there that we are looking forward to seeing and who we think could do well.
Well, speaking of people we do know who could do well, it's Shy Wager and Sancho West, everybody's favorite dynamic duo. So let's introduce them to start the competition. Gentlemen, over to you.
It's been 5 weeks of trials and tribulations. Players fighting through fire, fishing, and everything in between. That all leads up to this weekend. $1.3 million on the line for the best of the best in Europe.
And 33 trios have fought their way to get to this lobby. From some last-minute clutches to a lot of heartbreak left in their wake, 12 games, Shio, will determine who will be the FNCS champion. Oh boy, and we're just getting started here with game 1.
Yeah, 2 days, 6 games per day. And game 1, Sancho 11 was mentioning it. So many off-spawn contestants around the whole map. It's a war zone basically on the Fortnite island right now. I'm not sure where to start, but we've got people coming in from last season's FNCS finals. We have qualifiers, Heat players who did so well, and those reboot round trios. So many different stories converging now for this amazing moment.
And we're going to have 3 of the best trios who've been waiting for such a long time for a chance to fight to defend their crown in Hen, Chapis, and Janice. That is the story I'm going to be watching. And we're going to have a lot of drama right off the gate. And the drama won't be on social media. The drama will be in the game, baby.
Absolutely. From Craggy Cliffs all the way down to Misty Meadows, north to south, wherever you look at it, the fights always start off spawn. It's the most important part of your game. So we'll check out exactly who we're going to be tuning in with first. And it is Janice, Hen, and Chapix.
It is the EU FNCS, the premier Fortnite competition. Right here, right now, game 1. Let's go.
Looks like I do see different colored arrows on the minimap rolling, and it's all about where these guys choose to land. A big bunker chest here too. Awesome truck splashes available all the way up top towards the restaurant, but it looks like it's a direct contestant in the same house and enters the door with Vortex.
I've just seen in the feed a lot of names lighting up here, but this engagement right now, this is the FNCS defending champions. Already a couple of tags on Janice here, but look at the feed just light up. So many fights are happening. We will do our best to keep you up to date that all the action is happening and all the trios who may be eliminated already in the first few minutes of the competition.
Hey, the analyst desk has to work overtime. I saw at least 8 different trios going down left and right. This one's at a little bit of a stalemate, but Knight's already low on HP. Hiker's going to be walking through as well. Chapix still has height. Looks like their squad, the reigning FNCS champions, are in the best spot possible, and Hen's looking for the final frag here.
Wow, man, that feed just lit up with Retail Row. And here's the more. The feed's about to get added more to it. Already the first blow in this is going right now to Hen's trio's way as High Chris, the captain of the other trio, is already down and out. Now Ovation Knight's in trouble. It's a 3v1.
There were so many questions all throughout the day of what happens to Hen. These guys are in trouble. Everything in Craggy is basically blown to smithereens, but there's no pressure. They don't even look like they're sweating right now off that first game. These guys are still in champion form.
And that emote dance has a little bit more weight and swagger to it to send a message across the way. But let me go ahead and talk about the feed that we're seeing light up. We've already saw eliminations go down in Retail Row. We actually saw some eliminations at Holly Hedges between Fremont and Kenzel. We saw it, they were going to be separated, and this is another hot spot in Lazy Lake. And Flois was trying to send beams down to start up, but Marvin there with the backup. And already Flois' trio that's been very dominant throughout the entire FNCS season in Lazy Lake. Marvin, Etsy, and Bad Sniper get the first important engagement here for Lazy Lake in the FNCS finals.
That is just huge. Historically, when you look at Bad Sniper off the spot, especially in finals, he's usually going down in those early games, especially near the pond, or especially off this fight that there always is inside Europe. So for these guys to be on top against Kaiser's trio, who are so powerful off spawn, who have crazy first few games in tournaments, this is a complete switch up we're not used to seeing in the FNCS.
And this is also the beauty of battle royales, man. The important drop spots are so vital for everybody's kind of mental as well. I've always said when I'm competing in these kind of tournaments and when I talk to other pros, you just don't want to be the first. And we had so many trios be the first.
And hold up, it's not over just yet. Bat Sniper at the hot tub having a good time, but Arden and Fast Roki are there to raise the temperature. Pizza's right by as well. This will be a 3v1 essentially. SD's so far away behind. These guys just got rebooted. It looks like they're trying to loot up again. They're essentially restarting their game, but they're interrupted by Pizza, Ardit, and Fast Roki. You know this trio, Sancho. They're fast, absolutely furious, and never stop as soon as they get one tag. Look now, Bat Sniper, 150 HP down to 20. Marvin will try to help from the central building inside this POI, but it's getting self-contained now. Pizza has isolated this to just mere rooms. He's getting shots taken back at him at the same time. It's looking at it's kind of balancing out, evening out in between both teams, but there's still a numbers advantage for Ardent's team.
And anytime there's a kind of a battle here in Lazy Lake, they just retreat back into the buildings here. Marvin getting tagged big time by Pizza, and Pizza with them big tags with that green tag. And now it is going to be a little standstill moment as both teams are recovering here. But you're already seeing Pizza's on the full force and attack. Etsy on the back foot trying to run away. And it could be a matter of moments between this 3v1 wrapped up and concluded. 86. Conversion into those points, and that is a trio wipe. What a great third party from Pizza's trio.
Yeah, it was fast. I was talking about history switching up for Bat Sniper. It looks like it's kind of staying the same. Especially they always got trouble in Lazy. It's so unfortunate to see because that's a good trio.
To be fair, when you see the feed light up between Lazy Lake trios, you do your homework, you're understanding, yo, this trio's in a fight. We're seeing a couple of knocks. No doubt that trio may be in shambles. Pizza and Ardent and Fast Roki saw all that, decided to push in, and that's why they're coming on top. Look, let me tell you also as well, these are the number of trios that are already out. Kinzel's trio, Eyedrop and Wakey, gone. Night trio that we just saw, gone. Slender, Void, and Wolfies, gone. Potasized trio, gone. Kinzel, Chrissy's trio, gone. Lois's trio, gone. All of that is happening in the first moments, and that's just completely different for the EU region. They're very passive. They usually wait till game 2 for their fireworks to pop off.
And to put that in context, that's a stealthy stronghold fight that's going down. Reese and Levin were mentioning Rito Row as well in the pre-show. That fight definitely went through and was very active. Wolfie's unfortunately drawing the short stick over there. Looking at Kaiser Hellfire, that's obviously a Lazy Lake. That went through too, but we have 12 games to catch up on all the fights moment after moment. The main focus you just saw on screen are some of the top contenders coming in from uncontested spots and contested spots. Right now, it looks like Hen Janice and Chapix aren't gonna have any troubles at Craggy from how that previous fight went down. And then past that, 4ZR, Nate, Tayson, Sweaty Sands. Big questions to, will they perform, Sancho? They were making a lot of mistakes inside those qualifier weeks. I would say, yeah, they popped off in the heats. Were things fixed though, or was it a fluke?
That's what we were going to see here, and that's what I love about it, man. We could do all the kind of homework and analyze every situation, but it's the players that will answer those questions with gameplay, and that's what I love about the hype. Now, we're going to look here at Tayson 4ZR. They have a big question themselves, and they already kind of hinted at it on the desk. Storm Surge will be a big question that they have to fix and answer.
Yeah, that's what I was basically talking about towards the heat side. It looked like they kind of fixed it, but at the same time, looking at the drop map right now and the quality of players, it's not going to be easy to bully teams mid-game. That's essentially what Tayson, 4ZR, and Nate try to do. They go for those fights where they pick off at least one person and have about 300 damage left for Surge to move with for the rest of the game. But right now, there's not really anyone to fight. You're gonna have to play for a position a little bit. It's kind of a new skill inside their entire repertoire of things they can do mid-game. They're gonna be basing up and going for tags, playing patient. That's gonna be very smart, Sancho, because it's a southern side zone. And you know, once we see this, we're talking about Misty Meadows, we're talking about that great white mountain down below too. It's very tricky, very hard to be able to have freedom in this side of the map.
Now we're taking a look at this trio. It's very interesting, of course, headlined by that EU FNCS Squads winner champion Red Rush. Exercise and Mappy are making their first appearance here in the FNCS. So, hey, they have some leadership here with Red Rush, who has that championship pedigree, and now they do have some other neighbors right here from Meta's trio on the backside.
Yeah, they're on upwards momentum right now. Quals were looking kind of okay. The heats is really where they started to pop off. That first heat, they ended up coming out through first place. Have they fixed their issues? For me, it's just been confidence and just finding a end game plan and making sure you're up to par with the best trios in the region. Exteriors, Red Rush, Mappy, they understand how to play the game, but once it starts to get to elevated lobbies, has this combination of players really going to stay up to the test of people like Savage and Dredda Refscard, who are on your stream and on screen right now? I mean, Sancho, these guys are talking to the town. I saw Benji's prediction in terms of who he thinks is going to do well. You're talking about some crazy claims of Savage winning the whole thing. Talk to me about that.
Well, you know, Savage is known in the world as someone who can clutch, and he's been doing really well this season as a solo star, winning the Cash Cup as a solo as well. It's just something about it. You got to have that X factor, and every trio that has an X factor makes them strong. Flick, Thomas HD, and Nas. Thomas HD is that X factor. He could open up rotations with this bow accuracy from range. At the same time, he clutched in Season 4, Chapter 2 numerous times. But we'll continue on the story because there's a fire ablaze down here in Weeping Woods.
And it's not just the flames I'm talking about, it's also the people involved. Reason, Vidil, Noah Riley here, Irazumi, Sapphic already down with Siberia. These are aggressive trios that like to fight and end up having to do so because of the way the zone is going to work. Weeping Woods, not going to be very easy to traverse. You got to make sure, you know, teeth don't look too big and everything looks fine, or else big wolves end up come hunting you down. In this case, it'll be reasonably looking, trying to get that first shot through. Duty dropping by on the other side. Reason Noah Riley trying to basically chip this entire fight down, but there is a lot of defense for the moment.
And at the same time, we did see another trio lurking out in the distance, and that was Fremont. And you know, Fremont has been super aggressive this season. But now let's focus in here on this engagement. It's just kind of popping off. This is Irez coming all the way from Coral. This is their Storm Surge plan for Deal to kind of push these trios down in south here. This is a great plan here. You can't push up north. South will be the great option for right now. But so far, Irez now is going to have to go solo here. Well, he's very close to Siberia. Yes, there. Wow, the 1-2 punch from Vidil's trio. As I mentioned in the opening, they have swift strikes. Their game plan about Storm Surge is to get right up in your face, box fight you, because we all know they are one of the world's premier fighter trio.
And we haven't seen them in such a long time. This is just
a long time.
I'm so happy right now. I've been missing this. You know, a trio that's really good at just dropping down in the field and being the ones you can trust to eliminate whoever they see. Third last season, auto-qualified through now to here. They were unable to play, but were qualified to roll through in these finals. And I mean, they're going to be so tough to face. No one's played against them either, Sancho. They're going to be a fresh face on the earth.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about more what is the struggles or with Vidil's trio working out of Bony Birds. So this has been a switch. You know, Bony Birds hasn't been a very strong POI compared to Sweaty Sands. But now we have two Titans kind of exchanging Storm Surge tags here at Lazy Lake. Yeah, Thomas HD's trio and Mr. Savage and Dreda and Refsguard just trying to make their way through. You know, if you're playing in a different type of competition, or maybe if you're in a pub and arena, you probably ramp up and you have to see this big build up. But they understand that now's not the time. But now they're getting pressure from the outside here from Refsguard. So that's coming from the caddy corner area. Refsguard and Dread Savage here are now going to be premier Storm Surge opportunities for these other trios looking around.
Essentially, if this is your first time tuning in the finals, you're trying to understand what the game flow is kind of like. It's easy to see early game, you got to win your POI. In late game, you got to win the game. Once you get to these moments, the second zone, the third and fourth, in competitive lobbies, it's all about staying ahead of Surge. Now, that's basically a mechanic that makes sure there's a certain amount of people left in the game. It keeps people active. And the rule for it is you have to just do enough damage or you start getting dealt damage. So it encourages people to go out and shoot. That's basically what everyone's trying to do right now, get engaged into different parties and get engaged into many shots. The basically threshold for this first Surge is 70 players. We currently have 75, so 5 need to go down. The rest of the lobby needs to stay ahead of them in general on their damage.
Now we're seeing our FNCS champions who had that early engagement at the drop spot. This is their kind of consequences of that. They've already had a knock against Chapik. Chapik's went down, but one of Nebs' trio took him down. So now you're seeing the ramifications of that. And a little late rotation, now that they're dealing with that, they're getting a little bit of shots from the people who are already up high here. So this is going to be very crucial for them just to hold on. You see it, look at that. Just 3 minis in the inventory right there. All of that, you know, one tag shot, a headshot, you're going to have to dip into that. And now you're going to put the pressure at in-game to look for those refreshes. And now you're seeing the tale of two stories. Someone who's already did the work early, looking off Thomas HD, who last we saw were at Lazy Lake. Now there's made this rotation here. They're looking really solid.
And this is a historical trio as well, right? Like, even when they have people at their drop spot, they're coming out on average like in the top 10 inside the deep end game. That's amazing to see. And I was wondering exactly who was ending up shooting Chapik. It is this trio, 136 damage above on the right side. That is not normal for Flickanauts Thomas HD. They're usually a lot higher. And I'm kind of worried as to what their game one is going to look like. As we're talking about that, fast Roki taking out another trio in the Phoenix squeeze. This is also why it's usually higher. Every time they have even a frame of a body to see, they punish. So we'll see all 3 players active on that.
And look at that. They're happy with that. 39 tag, cool. We'll move on. We'll keep kind of dancing the line between Storm Surge. We'll be right above it. We know once it gets a little bit further, we'll have better positioning. That trio is going to have to keep making their way. Jan's trio will keep making their way towards them. More opportunities from tags. You don't have to commit too hard just yet.
I'm still worried though, because they're only 100 above now. Everyone else is still dealing damage. And on this side of the map, everyone's really building up, playing defensive. There's not many people here to shoot at.
Yeah, I mean, last FNCS, it was Thomas HG who had a crucial sniper shot for them. They were just, remember, Surge was about to hit them. He hit that sniper shot and things open up. Now, you're worried about that drill. I'm worried about Jamside Fury and Dementos. They're just 30 above. They have some work to do. I know Surge is about to turn off here very shortly where two competitors go down, but we're concerned about that next wave of Storm Surge, which tends to be a little bit deadlier, and you don't want to see it at that moment.
If you're unfamiliar with Jamside Fury and Dementos, they were rolling in inside the qualifiers. These guys are a little bit soft off the start, very good at clutching those 5th and 6th games, though, when everyone has the attitude to win rather than to feel out what's going down. So they would have a rough start as well. You can see that on the Surge. It's low damage, but we'll see how they do as the day goes on. For Janice, Chapix, and Hen, Slicks, Mariah, these guys are fast starters. They're going to be right beside Bloom, Tomsy, and Percival down below, which is a very interesting trio rolling in from the heats.
Now you're seeing the engagements happening on the rotations here. You're seeing Tayson, 4ZR, and Nate, who were actually the team in Lazy Lake, now catching someone else, making their late rotation. Nev's trio is in trouble here. If you're making their way late and you have this team kind of holding you down, they become a very deadly anchor, and they're going to get some big tags going forward.
Yeah, and the waves these guys are riding right now, too. It's not just about traversing mid-game and crashing in other trios. There's mountains in the way at Caddy Corner. You have to stay ahead of what Sancho's talking about, other teams, the damage, but you also have to be climbing up the steep terrain. It's so difficult. You can see all these creative bases basically made on different layers. It's a completely different story and much harder to play this type of mid-game.
Very aggressive rotation here from the dead side. They're coming all the way from the west coast, and they basically went all the way up north, making their way down. And already you're seeing so many of the intelligent trios of the high IQ making the same rotation. Blaster actually got a tag on Gray right there, and the elimination there from a distance here. We're seeing the value of the newly added, the infantry rifle just added into the season about mid FNCS, and a lot of trios have been picking up. Blaster, Nake Up, and Alpha were able to get in through the qualifying stage, so this is the first time we've seen them in a very long time in a set lobby. And it's, you know, this is one of these teams. They're one, they can stay in the middle of the pack, they can have that pop-off game and get to the championship stage in those top 3 situations.
Very consistent trio, and they're going to have a very high point of the zone as well, but looks like a majority of people are going to have to move. They just kind of rolled in, and this includes Flickanos, Thomas, Chapix, and Janice. They're max zone right now. They have to go past the snowy mountain. They're going to be slipping and sliding the whole way through. Chapix is deciding to go from the backside and maybe follow Thomas in. Thomas just got an Elam on the feet, so they're focused on a completely different squad right now. And Janice and Chapix, I'm not sure if they know that. I'm not sure if they exactly realize who's above them, but they're making the move now to stay up high.
I am so worried for all our competitors. Look at the first taste of in-game that we're seeing right now. It is right on the edge of this big white mountain and the valley down below. And now you're seeing on the right side, you have 4ZR, Tayson, and Nate, who have a little bit of shorter rotation making their way through. Now you have Chapix on your bottom right of the screen, has to make a longer rotation, but there is Thomas HD right in front of him. And look how many competitors are on the same track here. They're going to have to kind of make sure that no one has their eyes on them so they can hold on as many resources as possible. And Nate, 4ZR, and Tayson are below Storm Surge.
This
just a little bit. They got me again. They got me again.
You got to give it that 1 second. It has to come all the way in. These guys are taking so many shots back to back to back, and they're the ones with Stink Bow 2. This bow's the reason that we saw a few people go down inside the storm. It has this big damage over time effect in an area that these guys are basically bullying every team with. And you'll notice how many pit stops they have to take, every team as well. These are the best teams who are holding out different lanes of engagement rolling through. These are such awkward spots for bases as well. Rarely would I see Savage in this type of spot, usually higher, usually in a spot of better priority, but everyone's forced to just survive right now.
Tripper getting knocked right there. This is it here. We are about to get to zone 5, and then we're going to get into the fun of in-game. But look at all the trios that are kind of prioritizing the elevation here of the mountain, of the natural terrain. They understand. They want to be up here just in case zone goes back up north. Yes, look at that. The half in and half out has pulled, and now you're going to see some chaos as there more people are making rotation. The question will be, I'm not surprised. It is Trulex's trio alongside Jerky and Queasy holding on to height.
These guys, game 1 warriors, no matter what happens or what side of the map it is, they're always here in Europe, no matter what trio it is either, to basically win that first game. And if they have height, Sancho, you know they can absolutely do it. That's what they'll be trying to do. For everyone else in this lobby, let me just spell it out. Because of these mountains, you're gonna have to use all your mats to just make it through one zone. If it keeps going or even bounces back, you'll have nothing. You'll be desperate to try to rise through the ranks. It's so hard to kind of make it through. If you're on height right now, you're in the best spot inside the entire Fortnite island. That's where Trulex, Squeezy, and Jerky are. And man, they're set up to win this first game.
Let me add a little bit more flavor for all those EU teams that are excelling at mid ground. They're really great low ground. All that will be eliminated or kind of just a little tougher to do, considering all these little elevations, these little bumps here and there. They're just going to kind of just take away that option for them. A lot of teams are going to start playing for height.
Yeah, those guys are game 1 champions up top, but we have a literal FNCS champs right in front of you right now with Hen, Janice, and Chapix, always looking for consistent games no matter the zone. So expect them to stay here as well. Man, I'm just looking at the caliber of this lobby too. You got Reason of a Deal on second height, looking to possibly even take it. If Queasy and Jerky make a mistake, you got a Nos right below as well, shadowing the high ground trio at ultimate low. Blaster still taking shots. Janice finds one onto Nikoff though down there, who's in trouble. Putrix at the backside, still trying to look for ways in. This is going to be one of the craziest end games we've ever seen. Tayson is still finding a few too, so nothing for Storm Surge to worry about on that trio either. Here goes the full spray from Chapis' side, looking for some type of advantage on a Toos. Reaction Storming, they hold out, lots of damage till the stakes are going to be rolling in. They have to get out of this situation, but there's nowhere to move. These guys are mid-air in the sky, Sancho. There's nothing to grab onto.
And Zone has definitely pulled their way, but it just shows you how congested this is as Scram goes down in defeat to Fast Roki. It's so congested. There's about 4 to 5, 6 trios here. So many bodies going through.
And that's exactly what Genesis is trying to do. They're trying to make room inside that congestion. They really want to make sure they're not interrupted on this layer.
You have to watch out for Noah Riley's trio. You kind of pointed out, they are second from height. If any mistakes happens from Queasy's trio, they will take it.
And we can talk all that we want about endgame. Pizza, Ardent, and Fast Roki have been the talk of the town in game 1 so far. 6 eliminations, 1,000 damage above Surge, almost 2K rolling into this endgame, and they have such a good mid-ground layer. Sun Jules on the right side, they're still rolling in. Queasy all the way up top. The Reason's fighting him up for height. This is getting crazy. They're going straight forward as the zone starts. Trulex has to heal. Reason's looking for it. Queasy's been sniped down. He has to drop all the way below Jerk. He's not even alive for the moment. Hen's finding more elims in the feed though, as Wolfie is looking for his big pop-off moments too. They're under Surge. Queasy's in trouble. This looks absolutely disastrous. You can't break past metal walls. It's up to Trulex to try to clutch the placement.
And all that was open up from Noah Riley's beams on Jerky. That was the green light. That's all they needed to get that high ground retake. So now all the focus will be on Noah Riley. But Trulex here is going to have to hold on tight. But look at so much of these trios who are still in the sky. Jules goes down, eliminated. Flick goes down, knocked. And I think Thomas HD is knocked too. Here it is. Hen, Genesis, they're on mid ground. Okay, so they're on mid ground. They're making their way down. It's so important to get down as fast as possible. But the feed is lighting up with so many trios going down on this rotation.
So many people have to die from the sky, and some have no parachute. Chapix catches himself
6
once.
builds.
He's going for it again. Just 2 builds. There's
One build.
nothing. They've cut the rope. Hen's trying to make it a little bit more forward and through for the placement, but it's not possible. The entire trio getting almost absolutely eliminated. Reason, Vidil, Noah Riley looks so good on heights. Big splashdown. Reason makes it all the way through. Mappy's on low ground. This trio's chopped down to just a duo. My mistake, Janice actually survived. Somehow he has high ground now. As a solo though, against the most aggressive duo inside Europe. They're going for the backside and the front from the sides too. The big 75 takes down the king, the reigning crown holder so far. And in game 1, it looks like Reason and Vidil are here to clap back shots on the Mappy, and it's wrapped up and over. What a way to start off the weekend.
12 eliminations and a game 1 victory royale. They took height and they held on to it. And not only that, we talked about them being a buzzsaw, getting swift strikes and legions all throughout in the opening early game, but they did it at end game. That whole lobby just got obliterated by Reason's trio.
They literally grasped themselves. They took away height. You're right, Sancho, and they just won the game against the best teams in EU. I want to know what the desk has to say about that one.
Okay, can we talk about that chop? Okay, if you just kind of like were tuning into the low ground, you probably missed it, but there at the end, your trio that just won the game, Reason and company, they got chopped and they fell down to the ground. There was a river. There was a little baby stream that they just landed in and said, we are not going to be eliminated. This is our game to win. Splishy splash, I'm taking a bath. Wow, the first game of finals, baby. That's what we're here for. Reese, that was insane.
What an opener. Like, honestly, what an opener. That looked like it was Queasy's game to win from height in 5th zone. But, you know, we know Vidil's team, Reason and Noah Riley, these guys are always height focused so much. And you know what? They said, nah, sorry, we're taking this first moving. We have it. And like you're totally mean, you know, we saw basically one of the worst zones that some of the players can get when you go from that huge elevation pulling all the way down into Camp Cod. You saw the difficulties that the players have to do to try to pull themselves all the way down. And when you're on height, you know, we saw the difficulty mainly from Chapex's team, you know, with Hen as well, when they had very minimal materials. What'd you do? You can't waterfall. You just have to make a leap of faith or try stay up in zone for some reason at that point, but just was not enough. Crazy game from Reason, Vidil, and O'Reilly though.
What a finish, right? Vidil and Reason closing things out there in just such spectacular fashion. Like, Zeke, your excitement represents Fortnite world right now. When you see them drop down into the river, you think when they're dropping, I'm like, oh no, this is like going horribly wrong. They drop down in the river, they're able to survive and then win the game. What a way to start. What a way to start. You know, you were one of the teams that auto-called last season. You know, you want to start how you mean to finish. We talked about them righting the wrongs of last season's finish. This is the way to come back and kick things off in the FNCS. It's this is just the best finals ever. It's confirmed already.
Game one, and it's already the best.
It's already the best. It's already the best.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing, this was by far the most aggressive match in the history of the FNCS. More trios fell in the first 4 minutes of just this game than in any other previous FNCS we have seen. Reese, you have pulled the clips for us. There's so many things that happened in this early game. High profile trios we thought were going to be okay. No, this is finals.
There are a ton. You also said it's from any FNCS, any region as well. But looking over to Retail Row, this is a team. Look, silly. All 6 teammates from 3 teams each, for the 2 teams each, sorry, all land on the same building and go for the same loot. This is from Wolfie's team, Kiko's team down in Retail Row. But look how it ends. This is just pure BM from Scram right here. Pickaxe to pick up the win on Wolfies.
6 players landing on one building. I feel like it's Tilted Towers all over again back in chapter 1. Look, you can see here, this was the first fight we watched, and it was the one everybody had their eyes on because Janice, Chapix, and Hen, there was questions about whether they'd be able to deal with the off-spawn contestion. And they finished the game third after winning off-spawn. You can see Hen coming in and cleaning up. This is a way to start the tournament. They are going to be so good if they can just deal with this off-spawn fight. Take a look at Holly Hedges, Reese. This was a really interesting one because you can see iDrop here in the 1v1 wasn't able to win it out in the end. You can see it comes down to these final shots. It was so close because, you know, iDrop and his trio had said they were going to land Orchard before. Then they did the little fake out and they went to actually try and contest Fremok's team. It didn't work out in Holly Hedges. But will they continue to land there? Will they eventually go Orchard? That's going to be interesting to see.
The little Sky Classic from Qualifier 2, right? But looking over at how this affected the leaderboards, look, we saw our big victory round coming out from Reason, Noah Riley, and Vidil first with 54. But something that went completely under the radar was our low to mid ground team, Wolfie, Fremok, and Default. 15 eliminations. 15. They were absolutely blowing up in the qualifiers and probably had the highlight moment in terms of just pure bullying in endgame and mechanics from the entire of the FNCS so far, we think. And look, they're probably doing the exact same things again with 15 Elans. But again, third place, Hen, Janice, and Chapix after winning off spawn. So let's be real, easily. I will say it looked very, very easy for these guys. They managed to go all the way up into third, still capitalizing on that game. So these guys still have a crown on their head.
Look at this top 10. Like, this is just all these players out here. So impressive, and I just can't wait to see as it unfolds, as everything sort of plays out, who will be the teams here towards the end of tomorrow. Look, we talked about Fremok, Wolfie, and Default. 15 elims, that's ridiculous. That's a whole highlight reel worth of elims right there. You could create a whole montage for them just from that game, but we'll see how they sort of continue to do. Obviously, winning off spawn definitely helped the momentum in that game. If we take a look at that next page, though, and see who are the teams from 11th to 20th, you can see here Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha. They won off spawn against Savid, Rifler, and Crizzy. That's going to be a good sort of place to watch out for Weeping Woods. Who's going to come on top of that battle? Forzia, Tayson, and Nate. These guys are definitely favorites today, and they didn't start off bad, Reese. They definitely did not start off bad, but in those sort of, you know, moving zones, things start to get a bit messy for them.
Yeah, you know, they'd been putting their mark on Sweaty Sands throughout the kind of the qualifiers, and you know they've been going up against Bloomy, who was kind of spawned at the west-hand side for today, and they didn't often look to contest. But Bloomy actually managed to pick them up here in this game, but in the end game instead, and it looks so good for these guys. We saw kind of mentioned off kind of camera here that 2 minutes before the first zone had closed, these guys had already rotated. They were way ahead of things. So the rotations early and mid for Storm Surge were on point. Just they kind of fumbled apart in the end game, unfortunately. But again, same with Flickanas and Thomas HD, actually. They looked like they were in a really good spot. Maybe not as high above Storm Surge as we'd normally like. But again, just kind of going down in that first moving. So hopefully these guys can kind of fix that up in the next coming games too.
Absolutely wild that your top 3 from last season, trios we have not seen all season, 2 of them are in your top 3 once again after just game 1. But don't forget, this is a long marathon, okay? We have 12 total games. This was just game number 1. And that was as hype as it can be. We're going to see hopefully 5 more games just today, just like that. Strap in, Fortnite fam. Make sure you've got popcorn. Grab some Chug Splash because we're going right back into the action. Sancho West Shire Wager. Let's go again.
Sancho, Zeke's talking about grabbing popcorn. I'm going to need you to grab me because I'm not sure if I'm able to handle 5 more games today of this and 6 more tomorrow.
If we get another hot start, I don't know how much my voice can take because the action is just insane already from the get-go, and we're only in game 2.
Yeah, this is just absolutely crazy. We're talking about some of the highest elims we've seen in combined top 3. We're talking about that zone as well, where people are just forced to make it or break it. A river saves the deal, and then we have to bring it all the way back to off-spawn fights. 2 teams, 6 players landing on 1 house, and they're running it back.
Oh my, this is what we saw. It's a pickaxe battle here for the yellow house, and the bunker chest is not even here. All the investment is going to go down to whatever the scramble they could find. Floor loot as Mappy gets a knock on Wolfies, but we're seeing the strategy here from Retail Row, and it is ugly.
This is too much. An all in, but like neither team has any chips. Kiko's looking for the top spot right now. Primal AR in hand. It's fun off spawn, fun close range, but he's nowhere near his teammates.
It's such a interesting fight. I'm thinking that they're betting that, you know what, we have 12 games to work with. We could afford to kind of doing these kind of intense, these kind of out of the box type of strategies, and now we're having to disengage. And wow, already we're seeing some huge waves happening in Retail Row.
Wolfies is one who went down. Future's going to be on the chase. Slender and Void just trying to survive. No builds, walking on fire. This man feels no pain. And Void's kind of driven all the way away. I think he just saw that heal animation too. They found Slender. You're talking about 12 games you can afford to have this type of change back and forth. There's teams who are not going to have, you know, this roughness. These guys will be falling behind, going for the strategy every game.
And so far, it is Putrix Trio that has the upper advantage, already winning game 1. Now they have an opportunity to win game 2's engagement here in Retail Row. You have a Raptor out in the midst here, creating some more chaos to the recipe. Why not add a little spice to this engagement?
No, stop the spice, man. This is too much. Oh my God, Scare's feeling the heat. Slender in the same box too. There's the big shot down though. Okay, he's got a high tolerance, Sancho. You're fine. He can add whatever he wants to this fight. They're gonna be winning this one through.
Oh my, the pepper challenge, essentially. The hot, spicy take is happening at Retail Row, and Kiko, Scram, and Putrick are looking really good. For those you don't know, Kiko and Slender are former teammates, former trios, you know, representing Portugal, and they're just having some of these kind of crazy slugfest haymaker fights, and we'll see what Putrick could do again as Default, Wolfie, and Fremont, who had 15 limbs in game 1 here. Can they get another one? Oh, they trade between Kenzel. Wow, this is going to be another battle here at Holly Hedges. I'm so surprised that iDrop Trio is actually here.
Lots of trades coming through on both sides, but who has the value? Wolfie pushing up top. iDrop, the Sixth Sense. Behind his head, this man has 4 eyes.
Wow.
That all know exactly who's coming and where to shoot. My God, I don't even think he heard him. He just felt something coming up top, and Fremock's also being dropped down by Wakey. This time, it'll be iDrop's Trio rolling through. Kinzel wasn't even taken out in this instance. Not even Holly has these types of fights over and over. Sancho, and looks like they're both committing.
Just to give you a taste what was happening on social media, as soon as the lobby was set, all of a sudden you had Fremont said these are Fremont hedges. And Kenzel, iDrop, Wakey, all right, you know what? We don't want any business with this. We're going to go ahead and change our drop. They thought about going to Camp Cod. Then they said, no, that's not a really great drop for themselves. So they went all the way up to the Orchard Split where Tripper's Trio is. And all of a sudden we were wondering where we're going to go. And they decided to contest Holly Hedges. And right now it's 1-1. Let's see what Kenzel, iDrop, and Wakey can do, as this is their first taste essentially of early game.
Yeah, for these guys, just to talk about their story, they're finally looking fear right in its face and saying they can do it. Last season,
yes,
they went for that passive spot. They landed Coral Castle overall, and they just had unfortunate circumstances with the zone and with Surge. This time they're going for a better spot. Yes, they have a dangerous trio to fight, but man, they're looking good so far in at least half their games. Let's see where that goes through. Talk about improvement season after season. This is just game after game. Icarus, Vortex, and Knight must have switched something up. Not everyone landed at the same spot. I think they might have tripled up on one house because it looks like Janison and Chapix have too much control of this POI.
And we saw fights kind of wrap up quickly, and now we're seeing stalemates, and this is not what you want to see if you're Craigie Cliff. So you're already seeing the team that's landing at Pristine Point already making their rotation, looking for their Storm Surge tags. So hey, a fight could kind of break out between those two. That team on the Cliffs, they don't want really any business. They're just going to get their tags and move on.
Yeah.
But if they get tags on Chapix here, who is on the high point, that could open up an engagement between Vortex's here, and they can make their way up and they could take out Chapix. So still very dangerous for all those teams that are looking. That's Hottie, Elocrats, and Tripper. Yeah, there's the tags. There's the tags.
Okay, luckily enough, he still has 3 shields, so that shield break sound didn't come through. Hycris won't know exactly what went down, but watching him run away, I'm pretty sure they heard the first shot at least. So there it is. The 2 minis are there. They're looking good.
Give you another insight to what's happening. The battle down at Stealthy Stronghold is not going to Potasai's way. They are losing so far. That advantage is owed to Potasai going against Nebs.
So lots of switch ups. One thing is the same though. Lazy Lake fight. Kind of intense for the moment. I think Kaiser just got another knock on the ST. It's going back and forth. We look at our game 1 absolute dominators, getting a little bit of insight of how they work around the map. It's aggressive. 4ZR taking shots out the passenger seat, and they're landing. Fast Roki taking out Kaiser. So, man, I really want to look at Lazy Lake right now. The third party is coming through again. Kaiser down. It's a repeat from the first game. Might not be the same zone. Pizza claps back on a Hellfire. Okay, so that trio almost fully taken out. I believe it's just all left down to one member from Kaiser's trio. It'll be Flows to try to clutch it out. But yeah, for these guys, I mean, their last game was so excellent.
These fights, you're seeing the stat fly in 212 appearances accumulatively from all the players of final appearances here for the FNCS. So that's what we're talking about. A lot of teams have players that have that experience in the FNCS, and they're going to know how to deal with those nerves. I remember we're seeing that even Reason himself tweeted out, how do I deal with nerves? I get so nervous in these stressful situations. So even Reason, one of the world's best fighters, have nerves knocking at their doorstep.
Maybe those nerves even help them play even better, right? Overall. And you look at the outside influence, check out the inside influences inside the game that you can also help your entire trio do so much better, so much well as well when you're playing throughout. Hen, Janice, Chapix, kind of different from that first game. They were forced to be able to move quickly around the map. We saw them all the way towards the south side with the Nas, Thomas, and Flick. This time, because they didn't get to finish out the fight, they got a few tags, and now they can go and fish. They have a favorable zone as well. They have a lot of good loot to play out this end game, especially for heal game as well towards the very end. It'll be very, very different in terms of a total plan coming in from our champion trio.
They have to be careful from Nebs' trio. They are sitting on that North Guardian Tower. That is normally where they rotate to for Storm Surge tags. And you already saw a couple of bullets going their way. And this is the benefit of having Craigie Cliffs, because you have this secondary drop spot here, this landmark of Flopper Island, as the community likes to call. A lot of fishing spots for them to replenish them and get what they need for in game. And that is what happens when they disengage from High Crest. They're like, okay, look, at least we could kind of retreat back into Flopper Island, kind of replenish all of our heals, not necessarily their builds. They're gonna have to find some more builds along the way. But again, with Nebs' trio being a kind of a guardian on their tower, they're gonna have to watch out and make sure they don't dip into those valuable heals that they're finding here in these fishing spots.
You got first and third place right now on your screen. Second place Fremont from the last game, obviously eliminated off spawn inside Holly Hedges. Up to these guys to be head-to-head to see who can win. A very aggressive trio on the bottom right side, paired with the Consistency Kings, who like winning games too on the top right.
On the bottom right of your screen, you may be wondering why Noah Riley here is in Pleasant Park. This is where they go for their secondary POI to go visit Jonesy to get those upgrades. They go to Barney Burbs to do all they can to loot. Then they move up north to Pleasant Park to get those upgrades, because my question for them, Chayo, was how are they going to handle not having the power weapons that Barney Burbs really doesn't traditionally have? They said, we're going to find it in Pleasant Park. During the qualifiers and heats, I believe this trio was kind of exploring, like, we don't know, the strategy wasn't quite working. But because the zone pulled north, they decided to go into this play in their playbook. But if any zones go south, brother, this play right here won't be that option, because when they try it, when zones pull south, they get in trouble because of their late rotations, they get tagged, and they can't have that freedom box fighting style that they've been doing beautifully here today.
It's not even the freedom box fighting, it's just a confidence. Yeah, Sancho, what would you do with a green AR and a purple pump if you had to choose an upgrade?
What would I upgrade? I would upgrade. You know what? I would upgrade the purple pump to gold.
Oh, come on. The normal guy will go for the AR, right? Like, you want to make sure both are even on both sides. Reason's just like, forget it. I'm going, just like you, for the gold pump. Like, absolute insane confidence. You saw it in that first game, True. He jumped up on Trulex as well. Like, insanity.
Well, listen here. I mean, great minds think alike. I may not have the mechanical skill, but, you know, at least I got a gold pump.
Mini Reason on our hands here on the broadcast. So we'll see exactly if his pumps land just like the calls. Absolutely magnificent right now. Rifla also in a situation with Savid and Crizzy. David's actually 1 HP. They've got the clutch res, or the clutch revive at least. Heal. It doesn't come through, unfortunately. Pressure on the walls. Rifle has a flank though onto Meta. Skyzoo, underdogs coming in this competition against reboot round winners. And both these type of backside storyline clutch trios are gonna go head to head here at Colossal Crops. Rifle the short end of the stick, but to talk about Meta, Skyzoo, and Expert, I've been looking at all the tier lists, the predictions for teams. They're near the bottom, Sancho, in terms of like expectations coming in. They have the world to prove, to say that, yeah, we can hang out with the top as well. They're winning fights already. That first game is also looking, you know, it was a tough zone entirely, but they're making it off the spawn. They're looking entirely good as well. So they'll have a lot to prove over the 12 games you're going to be seeing over 2 days.
And that's really, you know, that's the whole thing. You don't really have to be in the top at the beginning of day one, at the end of day one, essentially. We saw in previous FNCS trios, we had Thomas HD on the top, didn't make that finals finish. We also saw Seti, Kemi, and Teak be #1 after their day one. So you just want to be feeling good, and you want to be within striking distance of that top 5. And right now, we still saw Andretta's trio within the striking distance right now going into this match in the 7th here. Now, we have to definitely keep an eye on what the eye drop Waking Kinzel do. When you survive your drop spot that you know you're going to be in it for the long haul, when you survive, you better get your points, because this may be one of those few chances that you can get as much points as possible, because if not, Fremont may be able to walk away and win that early drop spot there on Holly Hedges.
Yeah, I like that setup you have of like kind of, you know, emotions and being allowed to play a game versus just absolutely striking wildly and blindly like Reason are. And you're definitely right. For a trio rolling in, Kinzel, Wakey, and iDrop, like, this is definitely one of those emotional type games where pressure is on the line. You'll have to put up a few points. They're free, basically. It was a very fast fight off spawn. They essentially have 3 free elims to work with. But what are they going to do with that against other trios who don't have those emotions, aren't as nervous? And Andretta, Refsguard, and Savage are in that non-nerves position, coming in from the top right side of the map. Steamy Stacks. I mean, this, first of all, is such a prestigious trio in terms of name. Refsguard and Andretta, you know, people who've played together in the past a lot. Savage going thrown into the mix, replacing Scram, I believe, from previous seasons.
Yes.
And they have one of the best POIs in terms of Europe historically, all to themselves.
You would think it would be just like an Amplify Matzo situation where they added Benji. It's the same thing. When you add Savage to that duo group, they do really well. Now we have a battle here between Jam's side here and Joku's trio. So far, one is straight out. Andon all by himself here. He's going to have to hold on. Actually, he does have Jetsku alongside here. It's going to be a matter of moments here as Dementos, he does pick him up. Nice. It's going to be a nice, valuable siphon right there. Health is going to be a little bit more replenished. This is still a storm fight. Luckily, no other trios are looking through.
Unfortunately, though, this is like dropping a glass on the floor and it shatters. You try to put it back together, you're still going to see the cracks. One teammate down, They're inside zone. There's no way to fully fix this game. It'll look like they're going to be able to play it out as a duo. They're going to be on the backside of circles 24/7. Going to be having to met kit over and over again. And right now, we're talking about free flow. Reason down, but there's still more gold pumps to go around. A trade with Hen down below as well from Noah Riley. And oh my, yeah, Janice is absolutely wrapped up. Floki's in the mix too. This looks like a three-party sideways situation. It's going off the rails. 2 solos left now, basically to clutch. No, but deals here with Noah Riley as well. He's getting crazy. Floki jumps up from the top side. Floki, Deceptos, Clement, these guys rolling in. They are the interrupting trio. Every time you feel safe in the mid game, you're taking a fight, they can roll in. We didn't see it in game 1, but look at it. They come through in game 2, they get a pick, and they back off.
I believe that's Hen trio is gone, out, buzzsaw by Noah Riley. They met it in game in game 1, and now they meet in mid game, and Noah Riley and Vidil stand up on top tall. Look at the number of eliminations that Noah Riley has for. You had Floki's trio kind of dipping their hand into the fight, understanding, okay, we got our tags. We will either win or we're going to end up being here fighting forever. Let's bail and get out. That was a 2v2 fight. Floki and Clement disengaged, understanding who they're dealing with.
And I had that little story about dropping a glass down. This is literally tipping over a cabinet to find China. The top 2 teams basically eradicated, eviscerated, and fragmented now off of that mid-game fight. I think the Symptos also went down on the third party. Man, there's 4 different teams now. Fast Roki's gone. Red Rush eliminated, who was right above Savage. Hen has been taken out like we just saw, and Fremont going to make it off spawn. Usually, Sancho, we see the situation come through in like the 4th or 5th game, right? The top 5 going down and not making it through. But now it's happening in game 2. Europe is just flipping things on its head.
That's what I'm saying. Places from 2, 3, 4th, and 5th are all gone. And right now, our number 1 spot is still up. The only team that's in the top 10 is you have Kiko's trio, Resguard's trio, Stormy's trio, Bloomy's trio, and Neb's trio. That's it. We're seeing the changes in what's happening, the volatile action that's happening in those early drop spots, but now it's kind of leaking out to those rotations.
In that first game, it was Trulex, Jerky, and Queasy who had the best spot on top of a mountain. Basically kings in their own right? And they were in their domain. The first games where they operate, it was these top 5 trios that really made their life hard up there, especially Noah Riley, Reason, and Vidil. Although they're live in this game, the other 4 top teams in EU are down. It could be up to these guys to roll in and claim that 1 VR they usually have each season in the finals. They want to get past that too, don't get me wrong, but in this game, a lot of the guys will interrupt them. A lot of the trios that give them a hard time, you'll see it from 2nd to 5th, they're out right now. It's just the duo of, I believe, Vidil and Noah Riley, who are alive right now at 54 points in first place. Everyone else is eliminated in the top 5. 6th to 10th though, as Sancho mentioned, absolutely still alive. This will be the switch up game for the top 10.
We just saw Jules' trio haven't been any of the round 4s in the qualifiers, did really well in the semifinals, coming into 3rd place. Jules was popping off in that where it mattered the most. They stopped Seti from qualifying and they stopped Bato from qualifying. And right now they're looking really healthy in their zone. The question can be, can Noah Riley and Vidil do this as a duo? They have the focus from already teams that are sitting up high, looking really good. Now they're dipping into their soft mats to kind of conserve as many hard mats as possible. If there's any kind of duo, Shio, this duo right here could still be lethal at in-game.
Yeah, but think about it, man. Look at the stat on screen. Reason is the leader in terms of elims. This guy has that star power. We saw him upgrade a gold pump or a purple pump into gold, right? Like, it's tough when you have your top man not alive. And then you talk about playing as a duo, right? These guys have a 1/3 less of the loot, a 1/3 less of the mats. Look at Noah Riley's mat count right now. He's in trouble.
All right, we'll see. I mean, we've seen like in the NBA, when you have the big 3, still the other 2 are just as dangerous. So Noah Riley and Vidil can be able to cause some noise here, but you nailed it right there. They just have a lot of eyes on them focus in, sending down the beams. Now we have Slick's trio at height right above them, and now we still have 4ZR and Nate. Just give you an idea who's still in this fight. Irez and Safik are now in a scrum and a battle between it, and look at that. Safik goes down, gets a knock from Noah Riley. Now it's up to Noah Riley. Can he hold on as a solo? He's going through. Oh, any kind of valuable elimination would have been key. That would have been 2 points. And Irez and Siberia lose their teammate in Safik in that scrum. Sometimes the big three sometimes gets denied and gets blocked, and they did right there.
Sometimes you get reverse sweeped. Unfortunately for the top 5 inside EU, they will not be seeing game number 2 the whole way through. Stompy, Shadow, and Joe, I don't even ever see these guys in trouble, at least at this point in the game, maybe after Max Zone hits, but man, even for Shakeoff's DKS, these guys are gonna be rolling in. Max Zone, the whole lobby can see you, just like we saw Noah Riley and Vidil go down. They might succumb to the same fate. Stompy's gonna try to roll in by himself. Meanwhile, on greener pastures, think about the zone, or let's talk about the zone for a sec as well, where Savage, Revsguard, and Dredda are. It's complete low ground, a field that has no crops, no trees, because everyone's making sure to be efficient and farm them. I mean, it's open season for anyone to be able to just create bases and control the flow of the game.
Savage is just looking around to see if anyone's late rotating through so he could get some easy tags on there, but they have so much real estate on the down low and up high. We got to take a look at who was at height there for a moment, Shio. Who was standing high?
That was Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky. Round
no
2
surprise.
for him.
Round 2.
I'm wondering if I even have to ask anymore for the rest of the finals.
way,
They're always
yeah.
somehow there, no matter the zone. Last time it was mountains, and you know, this time it's all the way towards the mid-map fields, and Dredda gets a big shot on the Stompy. He gets one of those stragglers rolling in, but 38 people to roll in here. Queasy all the way on height. Will they get usurped again?
Let's go ahead and focus in here on the low ground in the mud that you see Nate, 4ZR, and Tayson. We all know that Savage is there on the low ground as well. Trulix is on high. That is the stakes right here. Thomas HD and that trio is sitting second from height. So they are still fully strong as a trio, looking really good in the map department as well. They're going to be able to survive a lot of rotations. Right now, they pull. Look at that. They already have it already set up. That's how great this trio is, especially a Nos as a tarper who's to be able to get them in the perfect position.
Every trio right now, you can hear it. No shots. Those are the first 5 that just rattled out. Everyone's thinking about where to go and slowly creeping forward before this zone starts to move. It's finally active. I think I see a high ground retake coming in as well. This is very good for mid-ground trios for the moment. Like Flick, Anas, Thomas HD. We're roasting towards the right. Make sure to have a lot of room. Don't want anyone invading your tarp. Trulex overbuilds, though, to make sure that retake does not come through. Jerky all the way on the back side. They're going to be in the middle portion of zone and are looking really good. Everyone, though, is on the same layers looking to go for the first central position to be able to retake height.
Right now, I would say Indretta right now is looking really good. Is in front of the zone, right? But doesn't have the elevation that Tayson's trio does have. They have 757 looking really good about Storm Surge. But take a look. This little valley mountain right here is going to give Queasy's trio some prime opportunity to get some easy elims. But Anas and Thomas AC are going to have to do this as a duo. And they're 227 below. And 7 people have to go down. So right now, more than ever, they're going to be very aggressive, looking for just a chance to be able to get some tags here and survive.
Looks like they lost a foot in the race. 228 damage below Surge as well, and it feels like everyone's running track too. So
it's going
one
north.
Shoot down. They go into a box.
Nice.
Big trade. Thomas HD 1 HP, but he makes it through. Beams from up top, and now it's all up to Anas. Down on Surge. 25 damage will be raining through, but he's trying to get all the way through all these builds. Moves forward. Only just metal builds so far that he's working with, but he has so many mats because he got through all those eliminated bodies. It'll be a solo clutch for Anas. We've seen it before happen. Can it be possible again? Toos is getting big elims to the feed. Jerky operating off height too. He's picking up Shaykhaz and many trios back to back and left and right. Anas above. Sana and Jules, a very dangerous mid-ground trio. It's like going above sharks inside water. You can't dip your feet in. Gotta make sure you're building really well. Trulix and Queasy though, Sancho, all the way on height. They're glorious in position, but I only see the duo. I'm not sure where the entire trio is. Still, they have the position on height.
Another big shark in the fight is on the low ground, is Indretta's trio. They have an opportunity to go ahead and take this away, considering that Trulix and Queasy are now a duo. It's going to be a little bit harder to hold. It does go back just a hair, avoiding that valley, so that's going to be a strong opportunity for the low ground to overtake height soon.
With no mountains and no sea, it's just all about builds, builds, and builds. And it looks like high ground might be running out of them for now. It's only just 2 people operating as well. Yes, just 14 in Trulex's inventory. 9 trios still alive, 19 players to go through. Chulex has to be very careful on how many mats he uses. Down to 3, 2, 1, and almost 0. Needs a refresh here. Has the harpoon. He can grab back. Scram, DKS, and Ref's Guard all get eliminations. Expert about to go down in the feed. Chulex is trying to get some desperate shots as well, but he's down on low ground now, and Height has run out of mats.
Yeah, now Height is free for anyone, and now finally a Nos gets picked up. But Savage, Ref's Guard, and Dreda, look at the number of eliminations that they have. 9 elims and looking strong and healthy, and so much space control. Everything is going to be easy from them. All they have to do is keep their head on a swivel and watch as the zone is going to slowly creep forward here. But this is going to be Savage, Ref's Guard, and Dreda's day right here, right now, to net a victory royale.
In the Battle of Bills, it's low ground who are the Carpenters. They get all the shipments of mats over and over again from Height. Stormy Right also could be a body rolling in into the next package, but it's not going to be the situation right now. Savage taking out a Nos. They're taking out 9. You're correct, Sancho, as they're moving through. Scramdo is popping off and takes out Stormy.
Look at the half wall edits that you're seeing. They're trying to set up anybody that's in shambles. They're looking up top to trip anybody, and Kiriachi almost trips down to their level. But we cannot forget of Ziku's trio, Sun and Jules. They've been very dominant in their heat, and they are getting hot at the right time here, and it's going to happen in the FNCS finals. If they can put it all together and get a victory royale, that's going to be a big statement for new blood to take out the old guard.
Down to 4 teams, and Dreda picks up another. What a clutch run. He's picking up every solo player. Kiriachi down. 3 different teams left. Savage is a full trio right now with Ref's Guard and Dreda. They're on low. They have very healthy builds too. I think we know that Queasy is all the way on height and takes down Zeku. Both other teams engage Queasy with a 2 pickup. Queasy almost with 3, and Dreda going down. Queasy picks up the full elim on Zeku. Savage gets the off-fuel down as well. Queasy looking on the backside. Savage is there. Solo. 1v1 situation. Queasy finds him beaming through the box. Can't find the shot, and it's down to the final tick with position and just great gameplay the whole way through. Savage picks that one up.
11 elims end the victory route. It's normally cabbages in Savage's inventory, but we were talking about corn. You want some corn? Savage got the corn and netted the victory royale for his trio.
Absolutely. And what a calm, different approach to the end game inside Europe this time. The top team's down, no valleys or mountains in the way. It was just low ground. And when it's low ground, you can't forget about Savage.
Oh, no, you cannot forget about the trio. They were so dominant, but you cannot forget about all that action that unfolded once again in early game. We're going to need the boys to break that on down. Let's kick it to the desk.
Man, I love finals. So many little interactions that happened in this last game. Sancho, your prediction, maybe you said game 12. Did you mean game 2? There's a 2 in 12. Maybe it's both. I mean, Levin, this was absolutely incredible. Not only did Savage's trio pick up the victory royale, Story Right, this was something that we talked about in behind the scenes. You were like, that's my duo. He makes top 5 by himself.
Honestly, he had such a great game, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was thinking almost the same thing, right? I was thinking, Sancho, is this happening now? Like, what's going on here? Savage about to have that solo clutch. Look, he wins the game for them. It's great to see that, because, you know, Savage is like the most experienced player on that team. He plays for the heel off, and he's able to survive just long enough. Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky, they're going to be in pain after that one, because they actually did so well there, and you think they're going to win it out. But Savage's trio, we talked about them in the pre-show, the Steamy Stacks team uncontested. This is the day for them to really come out and show to people that, look, we are one of the top teams. We're up there with the Hen, Janice, and Chapixes of the world.
Yeah, it's good you say uncontested there going against TV Stacks, because if anyone remembers last season, you know, Rescard and Andrea, who at the time were playing not with Savage, they're playing with Scram instead, you know, they were looking good coming into the qualifiers and through the heats, and then it just comes straight to the finals, and there's 3 teams there. Steamy Stack, anytime a team just doesn't do well, they go and land there as well. It just became a mess. It's really unfortunate for this team, but it's just the nature of the game sometimes. But this season, they have it uncontested. They've clearly shown how good they are in that drop spot, and right now, from a game like that, it shows why you don't want to contest a team like this.
And you know, when we're kind of looking at this mid game, some of these trios, man, they're still struggling with that Storm Surge. I'm looking at 4ZR, Nate, and Tayson, you know, kind of talking us through those mid game engagements. What are you seeing here right now, Reese? Because this doesn't look great.
Well, it doesn't look great for a lot of teams, but it does look good for a team that we mentioned earlier. Obviously, we looked good for Taste and Nate and 4ZR. Notice we're positioning right now, going on to specific high zone in Risky Real, right? They're building up very, very early. And look where they are, right? If we're going to point out from where they are, they're currently in that center, very close to of this zone right here. Remember where they dropped? They dropped Sweaty Sands. So this is a relatively fast rotate because right now, very similar to what I mentioned about game 1, this has been 2 minutes before the first zone has even closed. So we are really, really early for them to have already positioned themselves really high on this kind of position to get Storm Surge, right? So they're in an angle where they can see all of these teams. You can see way down below, these teams down here, over here, over here. They have this vertical positioning on them where you can actually see every single position, right? And you can see again, now when Storm Surge pops up, and you can see on the right-hand side, there's a warning for Storm Surge over here to see. Because of their great positioning, this is then moved to another high ground spot once the next zone had moved. 371 above the Storm Surge threshold. So being able to rotate early using the cars 2 minutes before and now getting onto these super, super high ground positions really early has benefited them so much in getting above the Storm Surge. This is what a ton of our top teams are doing right now. Now, unfortunately, they made a couple mistakes in their 5th and 6th zones and were picked up and didn't manage to make the most of this game. But that early game setup is so good.
And look, our winners from game 2 sitting up there in first place. Dretter, Mrs. Savage, and Refsguard. Refsguard repping Falcon for the first time in a competition. And what a way to rep your new team. They're sitting in first. But it is only game 2. There are so many more games left today. You can see there, though, that victory I'll put them up 82 points. Provides a bit of separation, not the most at this stage, but you can see there below Norriley, Vidil, and Reason sitting in second like you'd expect. And Kiri actually still right in 2, so we haven't necessarily spoken much about yet today, but it's definitely a top contender in this competition sitting there in 3rd.
Yeah, it's really difficult to talk about all the top teams. Let's be real, because all these teams are top teams. All these teams have popped off at some point and made it here. They've had super consistent placements, being 4th and 5th in these 2 games so far, and not huge amount of eliminations. Very, very similar to what we've seen previously in their kind of qualifiers. But usually you'd say this team's been super, super aggressive. So they're playing a little bit consistently like they did in this FNCS through the qualifiers, and it's really, really paying off so far.
So many of these trios just looking to make those adjustments, right? This is finals. This is a different platform, friends, and you have to make these adjustments if you want to win. But it is time. It's game number 3. Sancho with Shy Wager. Back over to you.
Hey, Zeke, we got to make some adjustments as well ourselves. The hype levels got contained, right? That was a very cerebral game in number 2. Sancho in 3 now. Everything's going to be thrown at the wall. All the teams were basically in prison last game, unable to play, are going to be eager to get back on the field.
My eye is going to happen, and how are they going to make the adjustments? And right now, we haven't really talked about, Reese kind of nailed it. There's a lot of top teams in the region, and one of the top teams is not having that start of the day that they were looking for, and that's Andalex's trio. We just saw that Zenith got a knock on Andalex. The character Zenith is auto-aggressive when the very onset, and Alex's trio is one of those teams that have been very decorated. They came in literally 4th place last season, and we all were like, okay, this is one of the top teams early on in the season. As the season progressed, we saw a lot of holes in their games. They saw a lot of different trios contesting them at Caddy Corner. They dropped down to Weather Station. Now they're in Camp Cod, and you have yet to have a great start here in the FNCS.
It's all from just getting contested, right? That's kind of been the trial for them, very similar to kind of, 4ZR story of, are these guys going to be able to redeem themselves? It feels like 4ZR has totally, but still we're waiting for them to pop up, inside the top 5. Brandalex, yeah, it is very difficult. It's looking like, a completely different type of story rolling in. Was that just Refsguard, by the way, rolling through in a contested type of spot, or what was going on there?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, what I do know is that the peacocking has definitely stopped. The ego challenges of dropping the bunker, realizing, hey, we don't want to ruin our entire run now. Let's go ahead and take a moment. Let's kind of split this POI to our, keep it chill.
Yeah, and Fremont, I don't think is on that wavelength. There's a little bit of that old vibe still rolling in of making sure you're alphaing up. They go down again, and in Lazy Lake, Kaiser fighting. Sancho, think about the timing. The Holly Hedge fighting is going on as fast as Lazy Lake. There's no holds barred. Usually that Lazy Lake fight goes on for so long. Kaiser already down. And once again, Scram, Butrick, Hiko rolling through Retail Row. You said it was a little bit less, completely griefy back and forth. They're still going to be right at their boxes, right on the edge, foaming at the teeth. Wolfie's not happy of going down first in that last game. Already taken out Kiko. It'll be a 2v3 situation for Putrick's team.
Can Wolfies be able to turn their tide? Already 0-2 in Retail Row. He's going to go with the way of the shotty. Gets a knock on Scram here, but it hurt a lot. And Slender as well, down to the sliver of HP. This is what this tournament start has been completely for Slender and Wolfies, who are a newly formed trio going up against old names, familiar faces.
What does this reversal mean for the finals? It's actually really bad for both teams. That Wolfies, yes, ends up winning out here with Void and Slender. This gives them even more confidence now to keep coming back to this spot. Scram is not going to be safe in the next game number 4 either. This fight will keep happening. Who knows now, even all the way through for the 12 games. Bad Sniper as well. I mean, this fight's gone both ways and has been third party 2 times. When there's 2 teams winning back and forth, it doesn't give a team complete confidence to cut losses, right? And go a complete different way. You have both teams rolling in, feeling smart, feeling lucky, and they're going to keep fighting over and over. It's not good for anyone.
Yeah, at the same time, this is what it talked about. As you've seen, Hellfire really down to about 35 HP, but he claps back to Marvin. Now Marvin gets knocked really close. There it is, confirmed. Now it's up to Bad Sniper and Hellfire. We've been seeing some clutches, mini clutches that have been happening here in Lazy Lake. We saw Marvin with the backup, and now we see Bad Sniper versus Hellfire. Now it goes come down to reboot cards. And what I was going to say is, hey, even though they're fighting, Shio, they still have a shot to do some damage. We already saw Hellfire do double digits elims when they survive out that fight. So your path is not going to be as carefree as we saw Savage when we took a peek at their POV, or is just very chilly vibes down in Steamy Stacks.
Yeah, this might be one of those decider fights as well. We've seen Janice, similar to Hellfire with Hen and Chapix, do amazing damage when they make it off spawn, and they have in both games. I would say at a big advantage as well, because I don't even see Icris near the top part of this list right now that I'm looking for, at least 31st inside top 10. 31st, yeah, so you can see which way this fight is kind of delving down to. I don't even have to mention it completely. I think this might be, if Janice, Hen, and Chapix win, the fight to get Icris to move out and move away. That makeshift shotgun hitting like a charge, and we know that's not in the game, but my goodness, the damage. Bye-bye, Icris. Ramp block on Knight. Janice has nothing but the big shot in front of him, and oh my goodness. There's no way these guys come back to this POI, right? No. Absolutely blended, tossed in a washing machine, and not even dried out. The disrespect from this team going head-to-head with Icris down on low and saying, hey, we don't care where it is. We're staying at Craggy, and we're winning 3 games in a row.
It looks like Hen's trio has, we saw our talk about Split Splash. They put that trio, gave him a bath, gave him their binky, and put him to bed. That's it. That's it. That's how intense it can be at Craggy Cliffs. And that's the kind of game 3, literally 3 games in a row, walking away at Craggy Cliffs.
Bad Sniper probably has the same thoughts as Icris right now in terms of like, what are my chances of being really top placing in this tournament actually going to be? Like, they're also contesting, also not having the best time. It's not a confident spot where all 3 teammates are surviving. They're barely scraping by the skin of their teeth. And okay, Bad Sniper somehow Uno reverse this to get all the way up top. Now Hellfire's down below, a little bit low on mats, it seems like, too, or else he'd go for the retake. I mean, what?
This is what it comes down to when you have like not strong weapons, and you have to kind of be economical with all your edits, and the economics is going to be kicked out the door, Shio, because Pizza Arden are here, and they easily take out Bad Sniper, who did not have enough builds to defend himself on the high ground, and Hellfire is about to be eliminated shortly. Pizza Arden here. We have to wonder, where is Fast Roki? It looks like it's going to be a duo battle versus Hellfire.
Fast Roki not going to be able to make it into the game for now. We'll see Pizza and Arden rolling it through. Still such a strong duo. And you can already see it. They're making something of this game. Going to be rolling out with at least 4 points here, taking out 2 people from different trios.
And this is a trio coming from Misty Meadows, disengaging, making their way through. This is what they normally do. They understand that Lazy Lake is always an easy bed for third parties, easy opportunity for Storm Surge tags. But let me go back to real quickly with Chris. What would you do? I mean, there are a lot of drop spots that are available, a lot of different splits that are available to go to. But when you've been Chris's trio, who's been landing there the majority of the season of Craggy Cliffs, to be able to learn on the fly, that's the great part of this format, Shio. You have 2 days. You can make some adjustments. You could do your homework. You could see who's available, who maybe you could better at their drop spot to take over. definitely there's going to be ramifications. We saw it last season when Ingram decided to leave Dirty Ducks, went down to the West Coast, became food for Fadil's trio. Ingram went back to Dirty Ducks and still wasn't good for them. So, hi, Chris. We believe you can make the adjustments. Right now, those adjustments are not leading your path or destiny to Craig Eclipse.
They're asking me what to do. I feel like he's just going to go again.
You think so?
Might be one, yeah, might be. I know that, you know, historically you're looking at EU, especially contesting off spawn. It's always the first 3 games where that last game you try the most different thing. Right there, Hikers, I believe, tried to engage and flank. We didn't really see that before. They were always on the defense. So game 4 should be a switch up, but who knows?
We'll see.
I was talking about this with Levin and Reese as well. I think with you two, Sancho, in the back, it was like, where do people go on this map if they have trouble off spawn? There's no open spots entirely across the board, right? Like maybe somewhere near Shark and the Lighthouse, but that's a down bad POI in itself. It's hard to get Surge over there. So there definitely will have to be a switch up. Maybe they can test something else entirely. It's just great to see that, you know, a trio we haven't seen play all season. Janice, Chapix, and Hen. So many questions. Does making, you know, not playing an entire season make you washed? Or are these guys going to be good at all? Like, guys, they won an FNCS, and this is their home, right? Like, they're still going to be top tier.
All the other reasons we'll definitely have to keep an eye out to contest those auto qualifier teams. But now, Hen, Janice, and Chapix here being held out by a new trio making their way into the finals as Bubak, Nebs, and Waze, who had a great qualifier, they were able to get in that top 3, look really solid. A lot of their work is done on the north side of the map, and this is what they do in their playbook for Storm Surge. They understand that that team that's going to be at Craigie Cliffs usually takes about 9 minutes to kind of loot up their part. If they are being contested, they'll be a little bit more late. So some good tags from Nebs and Waze and Bubak. Now they're going to make their way on their rotation, being satisfied.
To me, every time I think about this trio and how they play, I feel like they have like a white noise playing in their ears at full blast as they go through. What I'm trying to say is that they love thriving in the chaos. No matter what's going on around them, they can full focus. Even if there was white noise playing in their ears, they're used to that and they prefer it, having so many teams around them. They get surged while that's happening. They end up playing really well against top tier teams as well. It's just about making it off spawn, which I feel like is their issues. They're fighting at Stealthy Stronghold right now. Not sure if they made an adjustment in this game specifically. But when you have them, you know, on their game plan, on point 24/7, they look really good. You talk about game plans as well. The Noof, Slicks, and Mariah had to have one of the best ones. They're in the car on your screen right now. Reboot round winners in the second game of Europe. They had that last chance qualifying clutch. I believe it was Mariah versus Cammy all the way down on low ground, and Mariah had the timing and hit the shots. I'm wondering now coming into today, are they still on that attitude of winning games, or are they looking to play, you know, 6 games totally and just have a consistent placement throughout the tournament?
We saw in a little bit in the POVs where we're kind of at the carousel, we saw Hottie's right here, Hottie, Tripper. They had a great run when we saw in the semifinals. They dueled Tayson's trio, going back and forth, finishing top 2 in those 3 games. It was phenomenal. It was exciting to see. Hottie, Triple, and Elo Crash were one of those teams that we had an eye on to be a dark horse in today's tournament.
Yeah, the thing about that too, like, why aren't they, you know, popping off right now? That heat, and specifically, and just heats in general, don't include the biggest names in the world, right?
Yep.
They're not as difficult. But it shows you that if you give these guys room, if enough people like the top 5 go down, Hottie, Trippin, and Elocrats can do damage on the map. Just to wait for that moment.
Yeah, and watch out for Hottie's trio because they popped off in the last set of games here. So they still have that potential in that week 1 of qualifiers. They had to deal with Revsguard's trio. They had to deal with, I believe, I forget who came from Craggy Cliffs, but they still were able to survive those rotations considering they're back on their Orchard split. But now we're back in to see how the big dogs are doing the deal. Noah Riley and Reason, who fell early in mid-game in the previous match, were unable to defend the #1 spot. Now in another box fight with Nebs, Waze, and Bubak.
Yeah, this is going to be trouble, I feel like. A little bit more so for Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason. Expect them to win this fight because they're committing to it, but it won't be as easy unless they find a pinch. And Waze got distracted. Huge shots. Oh, no. This is what I was talking about. It's like fighting a barbed wire fence. This is so difficult. We see Vidil already going down. Now it's a duel situation. Might have got big shots onto Waze down there, but it comes at a huge cost to one of the members. And once again, Sancho, we saw it last game, you know, playing as a duo, it's not as easy as it looks. You go down to focus.
They're going to try another crack at it. Now, this is the second game back-to-back as they are as a duo. They had to take that fight because Storm Surge was at their door, and the trade cost them their teammates. And you're just seeing the awareness of a duo like this. Like, they're taking shots while they're box fighting a team that's underneath them. They're picking bow shots. They're doing AR shots and getting those valuable tags so they don't have to overly commit against a trio. See, that's the kind of professional quality play that we're seeing between Reason and O'Reilly.
They lost a third of their loot, though, with one teammate down. I feel like they have to commit to this fight. Moving away from here, there's no chance to get really, really far into the game. So they're going to try to, but down below Sancho, it's brick and metal. It's going to be hard to pickaxe through. It's going to be hard to force your way into those fights. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be a same game for them for the last one they played. A very different situation. Andalex, Naziak Squeeze on the board, in the field. Loadout looking good. Damage throwing back and forth. It's not enough. Just 24 above right now on the right side of your screen. Look at the mini map, though. There's so many players here that can easily land shots.
And this is the kind of consequence, as Analyx pays a little bit for having that open edit. This is the consequence of landing at Cap Cod. You just don't have a really strong Storm Surge plan. A lot of the caddy corner, the teams that are in Lazy Lake, they already rotate out. Misty Meadows definitely rotates out early. So Analyx tweeted out that the reason why they're moving down to Camp Cod is they just want to be able to place. They want to be able to do well. But sometimes when you play passive, when you play safe, when you lay it up, you don't go for that hole-in-one shot. It may cost you for that opportunity for gold.
You're playing with a different driver, too, on the course, right? They were so used to having peppers in their repertoire and inventory, able to speed past so many different
trios.
Has
changed for them.
But yeah, they're playing a completely different Fortnite, and they're looking shaky while doing it so far. Sun Jules and Zaiku. I mean, watching these guys out of their heat, I believe they look really good mid-game overall. Right now, what is going on? Like, this is the worst state I've seen health bars in a long time. Having to eat peppers just to make sure, you know, you have as much HP as possible. This is dangerous territory.
The Storm cannot touch you here, and Ziku takes big hit right in the grill as he's making their rotation. This is a team that we've been having their eyes on. They've been kind of heating up, getting better as each stage went on. Never made round 4, and they got better. Now they're just kind of running into the echelons, the cream of the crop of the EU region, and showing you how difficult it is to be consistent.
Yeah, they have that same story of, you know, Sun and Jules, really good when the lobby's light. First time, though, Sancho's right, facing a lobby that is this difficult, has some premier names. This is going to be a very big wake-up call, but with 12 games to play, I mean, this was a trio that adapted very well to different circumstances. I feel like they'll be able to have something big, maybe even convert this game into points. 24 trios up right now. They have to wait till they're 17 to get 4 more placements, so we'll see if it's possible.
It's like a switch. When you're duos, you're a solo. It's okay. Now it's time just to play for placement. Let me be safe. Let me make sure I'm on my feet as long as possible, because there's 2 placement thresholds. When we get into the top 25 and we get into the top 17, and of course there's a bigger threshold when we get into those top 3. So once they get to the top 17, that's going to be big placement points for them. So all it's about survival sometimes when you're a duo. But hey, no O'Reilly, Vidil, and Reason, they were able to get back the trio, mate. They didn't want to ride this out as a duo. Now they're trio.
Still, with one less inventory entirely to work with, yeah, this is trouble once again. They're going to be basically parasites build to build. They were on the left one there with Nebsways and Bubak, and now they're on this other build entirely up top on high ground, making sure it's so difficult for any movement to be had, for the body to work correctly below them. No O'Reilly beaming down. Vidil does not have a big loadout currently, and this trio should be low on ammo, splitting it with a fresh body as well. So they need this fight. They need these bills, and they drop down and get it. Big pump from Noah Riley as well. They're fighting DKS and Shakos. It's going to be difficult here.
Let me talk about this vendetta that they've been having. They took out Chapik's trio again. We saw last season it was a $100,000 box fight, but now Noah Riley gets taken down by DKS's trio. Shay and Grey Coast, they're not one of those teams that you want to mess with. Grey and Shay Coast, they're still very deadly, but Reason now is going to be on the defense and hold down. Wow, what a big scrum that happened. But I just really feel that Hen's trio has a bullseye on their back, and Noah Riley, they're just going at it, man. This is so many engagements happening today. And DKS
talking about defense. Down. These guys don't know the definition of the word. DKS was down. They traded reses, but when Reason was supposed to play defense, he was looking for edits, ready to attack. But Deal does the same thing. Noah Riley now literally down to a sliver of HP, a combined total of, what was it, 21 HP here up against the full trio. He's not going to be able to have too
gets
much.
a knock.
Takes down DKS again, actually. But he's on trial with the zone. Doesn't get the finish. Doesn't have the siphon. He can't go past that blue line.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately, goes down, taken out. They won't get the Elam credit, but they will affect, what is it now? 3 trios in this Game 3 lobby.
And who's going to be able to benefit from all that? It is Andretta's trio. It is Nebs. Look at that. They've been looking into this fight the entire time. Savage pestering that engagement, sending in the stink boat shots. And now Gray is just now gets confirmed and taken out by Nebs. Wow. There's too many Titans are going toe-to-toe at the mid-game, as my boy Monster would say.
Unfortunately as well, it was like, you know, it's kind of ironic. Nebs was the one that got like attacked first. Their trio gets to eat the biggest pie at the end of the day. And now as you look in a mid game, you're looking at a very similar zone from last game. You know, no valleys, no mountains in between. And when we were there, it was all about builds, map management, position, making sure you're picking the right layers. There's not going to be anything to save you in terms of, you know, higher elevation or low ground having an easier time. This will be a very skillful game of Fortnite.
Right now, the trio that you're seeing has to make a short rotation. They're looking really solid. He has Blaster trios already moving out. It is the South trios that have to be concerned as we're taking an overview look. A nice drone shot. You see Druid, Squeezy, and Jerky right there on the distance, but they have already decided that Waze is Nebs and Booback cover. They're going to go up to the height right now as Zone did pull their way.
It's the young and the old, the brave and the bold right now with Bloom, Percival, and Tomsy all the way up on one of the high ground spots. They're looking for a little bit of control of this end game or the precursor to it. At the same time, Waze, yeah, they have graduated from the low ground spots, Sancho. It's going to be a head-to-head matchup to see who can have height.
And shout out to that Blooming trio. We all thought that they were going to have issues coming from that West Coast rotation, going through that deadly triangle of Sweaty Sands, Fremont Hedges, and as well Bony Birds. But they're still here in today's tournament. They're coming in 8th place into this fight, so they're doing some things right.
Doing things right. Drop down low though, and it feels like everything went wrong. 2 of the teammates now down out of shield on the backside. 2 Dementos. I mean, Floki combined, they were rolling in together. Or no, not Floki, my apologies. But Dementos is rolling in as well. Looking really good on third parties right now as a solo. Gonna be just absolutely down bad, taken up by Exterios, or next to Exterios on the backside. On the opposite side, it's Joe, Stompy, and Shadow, it looks like, who have a very good spot. Wherever the zone bounces, and we'll have a very different game.
Joe's trio is one of those ones as well that go for height. They're one of those teams that are all very aggressive, and they could definitely win a victory royale here in this set lobby. Ooh, zone pull so far north though for zone 6. Hey, no one's gonna be able to have the advantage. It's all about who can race to the front of the storm line. And iDrop, Waking, Kenzel, armed with peppers, are gonna make their rotation. If they could get clean rotations, no tags, not use a lot of builds, I think there's gonna have a strong opportunity to walk away with at least a top 5 finish.
My goodness, I dropped these builds.
Great,
absolutely insane, going all the way
rotation.
in. What a tarp.
Clean.
And his teammates were right behind him the whole time. The focus was there. No one going for Elims on the backside. Kenzo and Wakey hand in hand rolling through, and they're going to be going right past so many different people. They have advantage, but at what cost? 112 below, now 117 above. It's going to be fine for them in terms of surge on the right side. 10 people need to go down. Will one of those 3 be the height team who are controlling things? Joe, Shadow, all the way up top. They're going to be looking good. They had that height spot, contested for it, applied for the house, and got approved. And now it'll be Waze, Nebs, and Boobak against iDrop, Savage, so many others down below looking to control low. Gonna be very scary, difficult. Wakey already down a lot of shield. No one's gone down yet in the feed. Everyone's holding very true to themselves for the moment. Waze still moving forward. Blaster's the first one to get down Ref's guard. So Savage's trio is affected. Waze is building crazy though and looks back and takes a big shot onto Andretta. Absolutely insane. High ground though. It's raining bullets left, right, and center. Blaster gets clapped back the entire screen. The zone right now moving right to left like a side scroller, but no one's paying attention to how the level's supposed to be played. They're going right, left, up, down, back, forth. No one really going towards the center, the very front portion of zone. This is going to be very, very dangerous for anyone on low grounds. Stompy's
teams right there has to be happy that zone pulled back. They expended so much by building over the height. So now that zone's going to go ahead and pull back, they could kind of hold on to it a little bit longer. Look at Stompy's mat count down to 11, but he also has Fireflies. So any of those wood builds that go out, expect a Firefly toss down there to set those builds as blaze. Right now, Andretta getting Waze, Andretta getting Boobak as well. Andretta lighting up with feed, Wakey lighting up the feed as well. So many of the low ground teams are looking strong, but look at 4ZR, Tayson, and Nate. They are on the front side, so they're going to be going for an opportunity to win the Victory Royale and go up against Shadow's trio at height.
They're going to try to. Stompy finally ends up connecting the entire builds. It's a siphon all the way through too, but cannot find the mats. They have a big base to work with though, all the way on height. iDrop getting more eliminations down below. Stompy finds another for someone inside the feed. It's Flick being taken down to the storm. Can he get that full Elim is the question. Yes, he does. And these guys are raking in the Elims. 5 so far on high ground. Low ground's popping the Wakey. Getting another Tayson. Active in the feed, taking down Thomas. Wakey gets Kuriachi as well all the way down below. Wakey on the zone side is up against a duo. Siberia and iDrop from different teams. He's trying to survive here. 5 Elims. 9, almost 10, 11 for the team. 16 HP. But now his world gets set ablaze. Fire all the way around and he has no builds. No time to pop these shields either. He has to move in completely raw with no mats, just the shots he has available, and no shotgun it looks like for the moment either. Joe's dropped down from height. He's looking for shots. Tayson, trouble in his box. Wakey still surviving. They find iDrop, but there's so many solos left.
Tayson and Nate are the only solo standing in the way of Joe, Shadow, and Stompy here from getting the Victory Royale. 5 eliminations here, but there's some big valuable placement points right now. All on the line as you see Tayson and Nate retreating back to the backside here. It's a 3v2 on that side of things, but there's definitely is one person hiding around, and there's that one person. Wakey gets shut down by Stompy for a brief scary moment. Stompy survives that show up right on the backside here. Now it's a 2-team battle right now. 3v2. Tayson goes down, and now it's a 3v1. It's a matter of moments for Stompy, Joe, and Shadow to close out with a very aggressive height take and hold and a Victory Royale.
It took down the star at the beginning of that. Tayson knocked below. The classic duo of 4ZR Nate did not hold the pressure down all the way from height. Sancho, they almost ran out of builds, but they had enough to win the game.
They had enough to win the game because Storm pulled back, and you saw that one Firefly jar caused so much destruction down below. When you set those builds on fire, it hurts. Ticking for 15, and that was a great run for Stompy's trio.
Yeah, so many solos in that game too. Wakey with a big pop-off. A lot of action on all sides of the board. We have to throw it to the desk to see exactly what went down.
Game number 3, gentlemen. That's another one down in the books. And I just love kind of what they're talking about is like, it doesn't matter what these trios, what weapon, what item that they have in hand, they will utilize that to its maximum efficiency because all of them have their eyes locked on tomorrow's #1 spot. I love to see it. And I got to give it to him. Stompy and trio, Joe, Shadow, y'all freaking killed it. Coming in with the Victory Royale. That's momentum, right? Being able to just get that ball rolling, Reese. That is exactly what they need to jumpstart their gameplay.
Yeah, these are one of the first team that I actually VOD reviewed this season to try and see their strats because I've heard a lot about how they were taking height in particular, and they're really, really good strategies to do it. Most of the time, they're just looking to get really, really far ahead at the first of moving zone, like we saw here, looking back, and then you have Joe and you have Shadow just crank for height as much as possible, use those materials, while Stompy is a little bit lower down, spraying and pressuring the teams who are still at the back of the zone. So these guys have height locked down. This is their signature playstyle. If you know Stompy, you know from any season that he's been in, he's been a high ground player, and I am not surprised to see them pick up a single Victory Royale today. I do want to see how this playstyle continues to work out through the other games, right? We have a plenty more to go. There are a lot of teams vying for that high ground spot still, so will they be able to keep it up? We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think that's a big question for them, right? I think the big thing is if there are games where they can't necessarily get height, what do they do from there, right? Are they a team that's going to be strong playing mid and low? Question still to be had, right? You sort of look at them versus like a Queasy, Trulex, and Juriki in terms of the style. Very similar styles in terms of the way they want to play for height, the way they do actually play for height. Queasy or Trulex and Stompy literally played with each other last season, right? So sharing similar philosophies there. But the difference between that trio is that, you know, they're a lot better in terms of when they don't get height. How do they play the game out from there? So big questions to be answered for Stompy. But to get the Victory Royale is really good. Like you said, Reese, not a surprise to see a team like this get a Victory Royale into there.
So many trios, man. Any of them could just change the standings in one game. That's all it takes. One good game. Now, I want to kind of take a step back and kind of talk through a trio that is doing well, that is actually flying under our radar right now. Reese, Levin, what you guys got for us?
Yeah, you know, for this, look, this is a trio that I've been talking about a little bit in the qualifiers of Sun, Jules, and Zico. And in game 2, these guys got 9 eliminations total. And realistically, I definitely hadn't heard much about this team coming in prior. But when I started to look back through their placements, these guys are really popping off in cash cups. And then all of a sudden they start doing well in the qualifiers. And then in the heats too. This is the market sign of a team who has real potential. Now we see in the first couple games, these guys are really, really starting to move up the leaderboards in their first finals.
Yeah, these guys are just acquiring so much more experience, and they're really impressing, right? You can see there some crazy shots being hit. In that sort of second game, third place of 9 eliminations is a huge game to have on this stage, right? It clearly isn't, getting to them. The occasion, what we are doing today isn't necessarily making them nervous by any means. I think they are just looking to stick to their game, and it's been incredibly effective for them. And hopefully we'll see them continue that sort of progression over the course of the 2 days. Taking a look at the standings, though, once again, not really a surprise. I didn't really expect things to change up based off of the results from that last game, but you can see Rescard and Tretta and Mr. Savage hold on to their first place slot. Kiriachi, Stormy Rat, and Toos move up 1, while Houdini, no, Riley and Reason. Sometimes with the plays he makes, he does look like Houdini, so I'm not surprised there, but top 3 essentially saying somewhat the same.
Look, it's bound to happen. Look, it's happened to everyone. When the players change their names, it always slips up every single time. But like you said, this top 4 is definitely starting to kind of come together a little bit. We've mentioned a lot about ForZR, Taste, and Nate as well, who are still currently in 4th as well. In particular, doing really good. Like some of these top teams that we've seen right now are just consistently getting top 10s. Like we already mentioned, Rescard and Andreas Savage, a 6th, a 1st, and then a 6th. So these guys seem to be on a complete roll. Their early and their mid games are completely kind of tied up right now. Last season champions, Hayne, Janice, and Chapix, currently down in 8th. They've had a couple really, really good games, but those early game fights are just slowing them down in the last 2 matches so far, despite the fact that, it doesn't seem to be taking them too long to do so. It's still, their strategy overall has slowed down a little bit in terms of their rotations and their looting.
Take a look at that next page, though. You can see Kreezy, Trulex, and Juriki sitting there in 11th. Flick, Anas, and Thomas in 12th. They need to start to pick things up. It's definitely not where you'd expect to see them at this stage. Of course, it is still early days, but you definitely expect to see these guys pushing into that top 10 at some point. Kiko, Scram, and Putrick, after losing their first off-spawn battle in retail last game, are sitting in 13th. And of course, the team you sort of highlighted, Zeku, Sun, and Jules in 14th.
Yeah, and what's actually kind of crazy is that Zico, Sun, and Jules were 5th before this match. So, we mentioned that we chose them because they were popping off so much in the first 2 matches and they were up there in the top of the leaderboards. But this just shows you how much can change in a single game. They've gone from 5th down to 14th at this moment. So these leaderboards are shaking up. Remember, there's still so many games left today. We got 3 more after this, and then obviously 6 more tomorrow as well. So there's still a ton of games. The leaderboards are definitely bound to shake up a ton over and over and over again. So keep an eye out for the first place slots.
Awesome. Well, guys, as much as I want to go back into game, we can't. We got to step away for a break. But don't worry, you're not going to miss any of the action, because during the break, we'll actually start game number 4. You'll be able to watch that. And as soon as that timer runs out, Shywage or Suntuous will be right there to pick up the action and take us right into that game. So stick around, get up, go get hydrated, come right back, and stay tuned for more action from the FNCS Finals. We'll see you in just a little bit.
Welcome back to game 4 of the FNCS. We're checking in with a lot of teams. The early game already happened while we were taking a break. It seems that Refsguard, Andretta, and Savage still in the lead, unaffected this game. But Sancho, you look at Boo-Back, you look at a lot of different fights that are still going on around the map. I mean, the action does not stop.
Yeah, we're seeing fights break out everywhere, but it's still the same fights that are happening over and over again. Not any kind of trio making a huge adjustment, not changing up their drop spot. Right now, we see Podesai's trio has been eliminated by Bubek's trio. We also have High Crest's trio has been eliminated again by Hen's trio, and Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha down in Weeping Woods being eliminated. And now we have eyes on Fremont, who was a star in the earlier stages with probably one of the earliest social media clips that we saw popping off, putting Cammy, Seti, and Teak in a box and putting some big plays. But now he's going to have to go up against a third party of Noah Riley and Vidil, who had their eyes on Crizzy here, and Crizzy's in trouble. And Default, Wolfies, and Fremont may get some big eliminations here.
Moving away from their hedges, going straight into the fray. This is going to be such a weird fight. No one really expected this, I feel like. I don't even think Fremont's prepped for it entirely, but it will be a natural 3v3 from what it looks like right now with the arrows. On the backside, lots of wood walls, so easy for Fremont to break in and get a free shot off, but he's going to stick to low ground for the moment. Fire blazing on his feet as well. It's getting hot, getting spicy. Pacing back towards Wolfie. They need to regroup here, but Vidil, he hasn't had enough just yet.
We did see this in game 1. Fremont last time decided to disengage and just walk past this engagement to not third party. But now, Reason, Vidil, Noah Riley, seeing that they don't want to be too confident and go all in into this fight, now pushes the chips forward and now being aggressive against Fremont's trio.
This is just trouble. This is desperation, I think, from both sides for the moment. Noah Riley, I don't think it's as much desperate, but they're definitely taking advantage and clapping back, going straight for height. Not really moving for box to box. They're being careful because of what happened the last 2 games. Noah Riley, though, he meets Wolfie. They have a back and forth. You can see the edit mishaps going on Wolfie's screen for the moment. Nerves definitely in play, under pressure. But no player has gone down from either side just yet.
I'm going to say right now, Noah Riley's trio is looking strong. Rifle here coming in from the other side of Weeping Woods. That's Savage trio mate trying to take a peek at this fight as well. I don't know if this is the kind of door you want to be knocking right now. It's a very dangerous trio that Rifle has just run into. Default Fremont now going to take a breather here, but I think Rifle is by himself. And if that's the case, that's going to be the green light for Reason and Vidil and Noah Riley move through. And now the disengage is on from Fremont. The call has been made. That was going to be a very scary situation, considering that Fremont, we've been seeing that once they get near the in-game, they'll be able to light up the feed now. And Rifle now is in the fight of his life.
He's gonna have to run. He's not playing for this to happen.
there's no vehicle, there's no river, there's no zip line. There's a car. Can he get away? 32 tag.
Wow.
The hot pursuit might be round up. I think he is able to get it away. It's really close to being exploded on right there. Oh, more tags. Rifle literally windshield out, bullet holes in the car. Yeah, you can imagine him just dipping his head down below the steering wheel as shots are ringing through as he just gets away from the grasp of Reason's trio.
Man, it must be so tough to go up against this energy from Reason, Vidil, and Noah Riley.
He runs into
energy
another trio.
contained from an entire season of not being able to W key and push trios inside the FNCS. They're up against Percival and Tomsy now, who've been affected by Rifle. Rifle finally going down and had a few good shots, but they are not going to expect this. This is not the regular trajectory for this absolute lethal plane rolling through all these builds of 3 members, the strongest fighters across the world, it seems like, and they're all up in tune at the south side of Weeping Woods. Tomsy, though,
Okay,
clapping
Tomsy.
back, making Reason actually fight for this one. It looks like there's a little bit of a thorn on the rose petal garden that these guys are trying to walk over. Tomsy, though, clipped down. It's up to Percival to try to clutch this one out, but he's up against 3 Titans who are honing in for the Elan.
You talk about a rose garden fill. Well, the deal is just a lawnmower right now. It's just destroying Bloomy's run. Bloomy already not in this fight. Bloomy in the top 10 going into this match right now. And we talked about how much they've been able to survive these deadly rotations that they had to go through, able to survive Kinzel, able to survive Tayson Fremont. All that survival has just now been stopped by the last team on the rotation of Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason. So My, oh my, this feels like deja vu. This is what they did last season. Anybody on the West Coast, you better have a high alert. Put an all notice out for Vidil's trio because they're coming for you now. I think they're extremely confident going for the rest of the way here in day one.
It doesn't seem fair though, right? I said in the past, like, to balance out that trio, they should have a siren online if they switch to their weapons, 100%.
Yes.
Like, that I think would be even playing field for any other trio in the lobby in the world against them. It's not fair. Have you seen them lose a fight really in the early game? In the mid game,
No.
yes, it's difficult, right? People are boxed up. They go for slightly aggressive plays, but man, it's just not fair.
Not fair at all. But this is what it is when it comes to FNCS. You know the drop spot. You've known for the longest time. We haven't seen them compete. We haven't seen them fight. And now we're seeing exactly what they can do. Now we're on to 4ZR, Nate, and Tayson, a newly formed trio fighting out of Sweaty Sands, who had a phenomenal run in the semifinals, putting up 22 eliminations and a victory royale. One of the best performances in today's season. Right now, sitting about 74 points, looking really decent, about mid of the pack right now. So they're actually in 4th place. So that's really where they want to be. They want to be in these situations. 68 above. I think they're really comfortable with this. They're fine being just above Storm Surge.
13 above now. It's getting a little bit.
I mean, they're still comfortable. They're still comfortable.
3 above. Oh, okay. This is a different trio. Okay.
This is
a weird spot. Lazy Lake for Slender Wolfies and Void. So they moved out of retail. Gotta remember, we're tuning in slightly late with this game, and so far we've seen them lose 2 games, I believe, and now win 2 off spawn. In trouble. This looks like worse than Retail Row, heavily contested. 2 items in the inventory, limited ammo. Wolfie's rolling up with half HP. Slender doesn't have any shields at all. This man is basically going in absolutely worthless on loot, but he's looking for something to get. There it is, a big portion. The items drop down. They can definitely get a gas canister as well that can cause a lot of ruckus with flames inside. Oh my god, a missed shot from a Nos. You don't usually see that, but Slender gets to live because of it. Clap back from Wolfies, the 83. Yes, this is big, but Storm Surge is arriving all around. Thunder Void down, and Wolfies goes through as well. The Guild Gamma trio is here to collect, and collect they shall.
This is the adjustment that this trio's made in the earlier games. They rotated away. They try to take their shots from a distance. Now they're getting right into box-to-box engagements there for Lazy Lake. Considering that Lazy Lake is in the central of the zone, it's become a battleground, but the battle continues just on the outside. Shaco's, DKS, and Gray on the wrong side briefly for Storm Surge, and that engagement was pushed by Storm Surge. They had to go to build off. Now Shaco's in a world of hurt and only builds to protect him. With 2 med kits to withstand is Marine, Slicks, and Lanouf right now going in, trying to capitalize on Shaco's shambles.
Talk about falling down from heaven. These guys had a god ramp, unfortunately beamed down by 3 different trios, including Lanouf, Marine, and Slicks down below. We'll see them roll in after the fact and try to get, those apples picked up, all the inventory and the luscious loot. And 2 members who dropped down. Meanwhile, Lazy Lake, it's not stopped, still hustle and bustle. Lots of teams taking shots back and forth. I feel like Thomas HD, Flick, and Anas are the most prepped for this situation. Satchel still 144 damage above. You're staying comfortable spot. I'm still scared.
Absolutely, and Steric for their run as well. 12th place into this. They went down from 11 to 12 in the previous match. We have yet to see the signature pop-off as we see in the feed that Slicks was able to confirm Shaco's. We have yet to see a Nos Slick and Thomas HD pop off. We all know that they can, but we're seeing the third party come in from Bebs' trio all the way from the north side of the map from Stealthy Stronghold, coming at the right time, but Nebs goes down. So the turnaround may happen here for Slicks' trio. May be able to put up the defense that they need, but Booback gets another elimination on Lanouf. Lanouf going down. Mr. Savage is now in this fight from a distance. Savage is kind of peeking it through. Ooh, bang, out you go. Marine, the DreamHack champion who got in from the reboot, was able to clutch for a moment, but now Slicks and Marine have to deal with the pressure from Indretta sitting on that mountaintop.
So many different trios just looking down in that valley. I thought that Shaco's, DKS, those guys were free with Gray, but once you dip down in there, it's kind of like quicksand. Every time you go towards a trio that's focused to pick up their loot, now you're the one being focused. Haha, look what happened. Complete reversal. So gonna be trouble for them to kind of climb back. It'll cost them a lot, especially with Savage and Dritter and Refsguard looking down the barrel. Meanwhile, 4ZR, Tayson, and Nate. I wanted to mention this earlier as well, but so good to just see them in the finals now, right? 2 seasons of back-to-back unfortunate circumstances. Finally here, my question at the start of the day is, have they fixed all their problems? Or was the qualifier all towards the Heat's kind of, a final stroke of luck that they needed? It seems like it's good. But Sancho, they're not all the way in the lead just yet.
Not just yet. Of course, Tayson's going for a third FNCS championship. So that's something to keep an eye on. And Nate going for a second FNCS championship. So much gold already in that trio. Now we're looking at the bottom right, Refs Guard, Mr. Savage and Dreda. They're still on this rotation. You look on the left side of the map, they're basically on the top side here. They're on the outer edge. They have to make some work to get through, Shio.
Yeah, they kind of are retired in their box. They basically have to come out of retirement. We've seen them just take shots at so many different trios from that location. They pulled zone like 4 times, so they're gonna be a little bit, sore in the legs when they finally have to move after like what, 8 minutes?
Yeah, it's just like the gamer and all inside of us. We have to go outside sometimes, soak in the sun, get some vitamin D. Don't want to be deficient in that category, and that's what they do. They walk out, step away from the shadows of their builds, get through the sun, and Tayson 4-0 and Nate looking really strong here. No eyes looking their way. Snazy not sending out beams, and everybody already just chilling in their homes, kind of locked in, not seeing these rotations. So far, that's a free rotation right then and there, considering that so many people already in the safe zone in this building.
Yeah, this trio in general, strong like an ox when they're on these box fights, when they're rotating on height. So hard to falter, but in that rotate, slithery like snakes. No one saw them. You're absolutely right. And they get into such a good spot in these builds. It seems like everyone is going over to Lazy Lake. I'm not sure if the store has a discount or it's just the zone. Might be both. So yeah, definitely the zone. No Riley and Reason will be here. No Vidil this time. I'm not sure what happened. Last time we were watching them, they had 3 elims and all 3 were up. This time, just 2 again. And they were at second place, first place to start off the day, rolling the second, now dropping down, it looks like over and over again the third. This game as a duo again, I make them drop further. They're consistent, Sancho, but it's this dangerous tight rope type of consistency.
It's a tough game to play when a lot of your points come in early game. We've seen they've been falling at mid game as well. They've been getting a little bit further for as duos, as we've seen that Chapix and Flick, Thomas HD, and Nas are going for height as Arden is distracted. Thomas HD jumps on down. Arden gets knocked, and Flick and Nas and Thomas HD have height. They push Pizza, evict them from height. It's there the hold, and they may be able to finally pop off. We've all been waiting for the team that all qualified from the previous season. Their signature game is right now in front of them, but Zone pushes. Zone 5 goes away from Lazy Lake, but wow, what a great retake that was.
Man, so many things for this team just came through. We asked the question, when will they be in control? Never looked like it, just did it right there. We were also scared for their surge, Sancho, right? I think they went down to almost 50 above. Off of that play, it wasn't only just for control, but for surge too. They're now 500 above. They have so much damage. They have freedom of mind. They can think about what to do next. Savage and Refs Guard, in similar situations, they've had freedom this entire game. They'll be moving forward while we're looking for Anas, Thomas, and Flick to come back into the game. Savage and Dreda, Refs Guard, they're looking to just hold on to this first place title. 115 points to rolling through.
And third place is down. The deal, Noah Riley and Reason, weren't able to survive as a duo. They get taken out by the backside, the congestion, and now everybody's making their movement through here in the safe zone. Now you're seeing the rest of the lobby making their way as Thomas, AC, and Nas and Flick are making their way up their leaderboard, netting another elimination on Wakey.
Wakey down debris in the way, though. There's a truck these guys can't build fast. Unfortunate. They can't use those old builds. Have to expend actually a lot of materials to get to this spot in this layer that might matter all the way towards the end game. Keep note, Nate picks up another though. 4th place team looking to take over that 3rd place spot of Reason, Vidil, and Noah Riley. And you mentioned in Sancho, they are down. So this is good for everyone in the lobby. You know how lethal Vidil is inside the end game. Reason as well. They go box to box. They try to take over height too. And I was talking about Jules and Sun, how good these guys are when they have space to actually work with. Usually mid-ground, they're on height right now. I haven't really seen this perspective from them before. A first-time finals and a first-time height take. I like what I'm seeing.
Things are looking good. The stars are aligning, but the zone says no way, Shio. We're gonna go south. Everybody has to pack their bags and move on out. As you already see, Queasy, Trulix, and Jerky making the movement. It looks like Jules, Zico, and Genus and Sun are going to go ahead and tarp over. That's going to be a very expensive height hold. As we're seeing Savage knocking his former teammate in eye drop, getting eliminated. So Savage is still up. They're still looking really solid right now, but they have to move. It's important for you to move. As we've just crossed the top 17 placement points for every trio going down is going to rack up here. But look at all the builds that are in their way, Shio. This is not going to be an easy rotation, but hey, they're doing it so far. No eyes their way, no tags.
And there's no relief at the end of the road either. We're going back to Caddy Corner, the place of mountains, the place where our first game ended, where things get crazy. So Thomas and Austin Flick already on the backside are trying to move through. They got so many more elims while walking, 7 now in total. Find an old base. This is so clutch. You need all the mats you can to save. Hottie getting a few elims in the feed. Thomas still moving through this sneaky shadow type gameplay. They're just mimicking whatever Height's doing, but at a lower layer, they look so good while doing it.
It's going to be so important to connect to this mountain on the other side. They're going to have an opportunity to go for height. There's already pressures on Sun. Thomas HD and Nas Flick. Can they do another height retake in this match here? A lot of HP's lost, and they may have happened, but no.
Wait a minute.
Trulix, Jerky comes in. Flake goes down, Jules goes down, and now the team that has always been on height is finally back on height in a very crucial juncture as it does go back. So Jerky could go back along and walk along those same paths. Now Anas, as the solo, is going to have to do it, but what a great trio run so far with 8 elims in this match.
8 elims, 13th place overall is good, but talk about a setup. Queasy, Trulex, we saw them on second height, and I guess they might have seen Anas Flick and Thomas HD too. They wait for them to make the first move. They wait for both teams to do the dirty work, and then they come all the way up top. But look, Janice, Hen, and Chapix, where did they come from? Absolute height, and I don't see Queasy. Now they were actually the masterminds behind this entire operation. And Alexis was popping off on low ground. Chapix looks good all the way on height. This team is basically back towards their home. I was talking about Craggy being where they're comfortable. That might be their living room. This is the kitchen, though. This is where they do work. They cook it up. They're looking for all the elims and the points. This is what it's going to be. Freemock all the way on the backside as well. Yes, freedom to move for now, but Chapix, Hen, and Janice, they know how to actually just strangle the lobby completely. Look at this. Back towards the zone. They're taking shots, and it looks so good.
Our defending FNCS champions here, who've had a slow start for them, is now going to have a good chance here to pop off right now as they're going to make some pressure here on Screwy. Red Rush right now on the front side. Exercise just trying to hold on as well. It's going to be a team that they're going to want. They want this right here. The victory route is going to be big considering they came in at 8th place going into this fight. Next gets taken out by Chapix with the beams. Hen and Janice now operating down low, going to put the pressure down on Red Rushes. And Screwy, they're doing all that they can to hold on to stop this offensive onslaught that's happening from Chapix.
No Titans in the way. This is child's play for Hen, Janice, and Chapix. An easy wrap-up of a game with 3 of their members up. There's just 1 more to take down. And without even losing any HP on 2 members, these guys flex it out, rightfully so. What a setup from the God Trio. What a game.
11 elims and the victory royale. We had our eyes on Thomas HC. We're like, you know what? We're going to wait for them to pop off there. This is their chance. But we forgot about the defending FNCS champions. They said not so fast. Hans Trio was able to easily take out High Chris's Trio and then just go all the way to the end game with a phenomenal, beautiful, out of nowhere height retake. That was just so cool to see, Shio.
Yeah, the spotlight might have been on them backstage in the top 10. It seems like a lot of switch-ups also happened. We saw Reason go down early, a few teams as well. Neb's going down early a little bit as well. Forzyar, what happened to him? These questions, too much for 2 people to handle. Let's bring in 3 more. The analyst desk, what you guys got?
Well, thank you guys so much. As you know, we have all the information you could ever want because Reese 11 are here. They're going to break it down for us. Great game, though. Once again, it's like there's like these little pockets, right? Every second, every like microsecond that passes, every trio is like, okay, calculating data. For Janice, Chapix, I mean, and Hen, they're just like, okay, we have an advantage here. We're going to take that. Oh, you just created a window for us there? We're going to go through that window. Just absolutely insane. And this is why they were your champions last season. A trio we have not gotten to see at all. And even now they're saying, listen, I know you haven't seen us for a whole season, but we're still pretty dang good. Huh, Levin? Pretty insane.
Yeah, honestly, there were many people that would have predicted these guys to maybe not do as well. We even talked about that potential in top of the show, right? Because when a team's contested, it always looks rough, but these guys have silenced every single person that doubted them. Everybody must feel like fools, right, if you doubted these guys, because they've come in today. Not only have they won off spawn consistently and just looked dominant at Craggy against a team that's been landing there since the start of the chapter, but to now come out and win a game on top of that, right? Like, these guys are true champions and they deserve that respect.
Yeah, and realistically, I think me and you were also people who I don't think we didn't put these guys in our top 5. I don't think so. And
Six. There were just one outside.
you were 6th. Okay, 6th. Yeah. Oh yeah, for me too. I put them 6th too. But that's purely because we see them contested in Craggy Cliffs, and we know High Chris's team has been landing there for seasons and seasons, and they're both veteran teams. But honestly, I did not expect the dominance of Spawn from these guys that we have seen. Like, this is honestly an absolute wiping so far, and clearly that's setting them up so good to do plays like this and to take height later on and to completely dominate out.
Talking about another team that's dominating, guys, Savage and company. I mean, Levin, these guys are looking so good coming into this. I mean, what is the key to their success? How are they doing this?
Well, honestly, I do want to sort of highlight each individual, right, as part of this trio, because you look at Mr. Savage last season, he was playing with Tayson and iDrop, and things didn't go too well, but within this trio, the roles have sort of changed. Of course, you have Refsguard, who Refsguard's going to show you what he can do. He's the kind of guy who in endgame scenarios is going to be able to get you eliminations. It's funny, right, because you see here, opens up the edit, gets the cone in, some nice box fight mechanics. Just wanted to point out, this is his old teammate here, right? His teammate from last season here that he's run into, but what he's actually going to do is just take out Puchik. Puchik's already low. He stands no chance. The cone's in the box, and you can see what just happens right after that. He gets that. And right, that's the kind of thing you can expect out of Refsguard. Mr. Savage, though, last season, he had the responsibility of tarping within his trio, right? He had to sort of lead the charge. This season, he's sort of been unleashed a bit because he doesn't have to worry about that all the time. And Dreta is usually the guy that can sort of take over that responsibility and lead the way. And it allows Savage to sort of have these plays that we know him to have, right? It's the reason why people like Sancho are saying that he has, this pop-off potential in endgame, because now he doesn't necessarily have to worry about tarping every game. And so he'll have plays like this where he uses that harpoon, boxes a Nas up, and just takes a Nas out. And Nas can't do nothing there. That's one of the best plays in the world that he's doing like that. And then Dreta, right? I talked about how he's the guy that's now leading the charge for these guys. Doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability to pop off. You can see in this game at the bottom of the screens here, and Dreta and Refsguard are down. If you look at them, if they're down, they're out of the game. It's up to Dreta to sort of lead the way, and it's up to him to clutch up. Comes into this end game, right? He had 93 points. He picks up 1 placement point, but look at the way he just clutches up this game for them. He picks up some key eliminations. Look at that shot on Waze. He's able to just stay in the game for long enough to pick them up way more elimination points, way more placement points, and he actually finishes the game here with 108. You'll see it eventually. This went from 93 points to 108 as a solo. He clutched up 15 points just by his lonesome. You know what I mean? So even though he's the guy who might be leading the charge, he's the guy who's not necessarily in the back of the top getting the eliminations. He's a key part of their success and why they've been at the top of the standings today. And honestly, you saw similar things last game. Last game, him and Savage saw the last ones alive. They're clutching up key points. This is a major trio who's come in today and expected and performed how you expect them to.
Yeah, absolutely. And realistically, look, they are still on the top of the leaderboards, even after Henjanis and Chapix picking up that massive elimination with that massive victory royale with 11 eliminations as well. But that's just what happens when you have Refsguard, Adre, and Savage be so consistent, a 6th, a 1st, a 6th, and then a 9th so far with a bunch of elims every single time. And if they continue this on throughout the rest of their games, they're going to be incredible. But again, another team we didn't see too much or talk too much about there was actually Redrush, Exteros, and Mappy, who in the first game got 2nd, and now they've actually placed 3rd in that last match there, moving them really, really far up the leaderboard so far. So currently in 3rd after game number 4. And again, this isn't necessarily a team that we've put much in our predictions so far. Another team, Flick, Anas, Thomas, we saw them really pop off that last game too, move up to 5th. And they were what? They were 13th, 12th, I think, before here.
Yeah.
Huge
Honestly,
clutch for them.
I'm so happy to see them in here. I'm so happy because we talked about in the last standing segment that can they sort of start to push their way, and they finally have. It's about being able to remain here, though.
It is. And also another team, Zico, Sun, and Jules. Again, we've keep mentioning them over and over. They were 5th, then they were 14th. Now they've moved back up to 8th. Last game did look like it could have been theirs at the first moving. They were on height. Looked like it could have been theirs, but again, it changed over from Queasy's team taking it. And then, we also saw a Nas taking it at the same time. And then obviously we had Henjanis, Chapix. It was a real mess on high ground. But all of those teams who were on height are now in our top 10 as well.
Shakeups left and right. We have 2 games left to go. Which team will end up in that number 1 spot and set the stage going into tomorrow? We'll find out real soon. Shy Wager Sancho West, game number 5 time, boys.
Sounds weird to say, but game 5 for me, sometimes the favorite Sancho. It's the one where people really like to come back, really try to try different things. And it's where everything kind of rides on, the legacy you have throughout the day.
when we were watching the qualifiers, this is where teams got into the top 3. Those last 2 games, we saw Jamside do it, we saw Fast Rokis do it, and we saw Tripper do it. Like, so much movement happens here, and we saw Siberia do it. So this is where all eyes are right here. It's because now teams, you're going to see adjustments. Sometimes it's going to be small in terms of rotations. Other times it's going to be huge. But right now, no adjustments from Highcrest. Another attempt here to dethrone Janus. They're going to go for it. As you see in the feed, knocks are happening, but Highcrest here, hey, you got to go for it here. Maybe day 2 they change up, but they're not changing day 1 here, Child.
Not at all. They rolled through. Janus already taking big shots. It's, I think, the first time I see this trio actually down bad on the HP section. Highcrest.
Okay.
It's a big pick. It's 2v3.
It changes things. This is where you have to be concerned here. Game 5 and game 6. We did see Hen get all the way to the end game and walk away with the victory royale. But now you can't get a victory royale, Sayo, if you get taken out on your drop spot, as we now see Hen getting knocked out. Now it's up to Chapix. Chapix is a very deadly fighter, and Chapix can be able to do this, but it may be just a numbers game taking out Chapix here, as he's now going to retreat back into Fish Sticks restaurant, try to pick up as many slurp barrels as possible, and he is dipping. That man is turned into a fish, and he's going to try to get away and get as much resources, but they're not going to let him go. Looks like Highcrest now out here fishing. 3 builds left. It's a matter of moments. All you got to do is get the connections, gets the tags. 32. Look at him swim for his life. 1 build left. No, out. Finally, a 4-0 advantage now goes in, actually 3-0 advantage. Now it's 3-1.
4-1. 4-1. It looks like for the 5th game
hard.
rolling in. Yeah,
math is hard.
12 games. We got to keep it all contained. There's a lot to go through.
A lot.
Save it as well. Rifle Chrissy. I mean, these guys got absolutely eviscerated last game by the flex rotate of, what was it? Reason, Vidilno, O'Reilly. This time, actually fighting inside the house. We were tuning in mid-game a game before. Now we're kind of getting the early perspective of Weeping Woods, and now lots of weeping going on here, at least for Nikov's squad. I haven't really seen them past the first game. Inside an end game, it feels like Save It, Chrissy, and Rifle are the ones eating good.
Yeah, that's one of those trios that made that adjustment. They were able to qualify through a completely different drop spot at Craigie, I believe. They're doing really well. They had a solid run, but it just shows you when you change up your drop spot that you're not familiar with, that you haven't been practicing the entire season scrimming. I like Savis Trio. So far, no success, and they're definitely on the bottom side of the board, and we've been seeing that throughout the entire day. Anyone's making like changes in it, not finding success. The one thing I am surprised that we're getting into this fight here is that Floki Clement Deceptos in 28th place with an uncontested Pleasant Park.
Wow, that's I'm not sure if Pleasant's like a cursed spot then.
It could be, dude. It could be. Ever since season 4, it's felt like if you're coming out of there, I mean, I don't know what Epic's doing. They always tempt you. They always think, oh, you know, Jonesy's there. You get an upgrade. Oh, the bunker chests are. Wait, there's 2 bunker chests up north. Maybe this is a place that we should definitely alpha and fight for. So far, not cashing in. And I have to definitely look at the VODs here to see where that team is kind of falling short for the day.
Seems like it might be off of like the first surge or a mid-game fight they keep taking in the first 3 games.
Right.
Definitely looks like it surged like on game 2. And the most recent game, they didn't make it all the way to end game. They got to play a little bit, but that was a little bit of a crazy zone. It was difficult to handle.
And they kind of talk about as well, I mean, that team in Pleasant, they've always says what you typically do is you go up north to Stealthy Stronghold to get some tags, but Bebs' trio, Nebs and all them, they're not easy to take out. They're so far putting up a great defense against that rotation.
Right now, Mappy's team, you just saw them a little bit of the flex drop. There's that gas station Cammy split.
Yep.
Tight beat. They're rolling in at 3rd place after that last game, 13th. Oh no, 3rd overall. Mind me, 6 elims. They've been getting progressively better. Started off the day with a 2nd place, and now are looking real good. Go back to Clement, Floki the Siptos. Odd loadout for what I'm seeing. This has to be the game. Could also be the zones that are affecting them at Pleasant Park. They have to move through so many different trios. We've been down at Caddy Lazy twice now. It's difficult.
One of the trios that we have yet to really talk about, but have been kind of flying underneath the radar, is on the bottom right of your screen. Tusa's trio alongside with Kirachi. You know, they've been doing really well. They've been having the same kind of free rotations as if you kind of like take a ruler and go all the way diagonal. That's the same as Andretta. So all these trios right here being uncontested, but their rotation is also clean. So I'm thinking, what a great performance for Kirachi, Stormy, and Toos. They did really well in their qualifying, coming into 4th place here. I think with what their game plan has so far hasn't been disrupted. They've been doing everything to their playbook and executed very well.
When you go back and look at the top 3 performance out of the 12 games, these first 4 that I'm looking at from Stormy, Toos, and Kiriachi definitely fit that flow. 5th, 4th, 7th. We're gonna have elims in every game. 8 in the second one. Most recent one, game number 4 that they played, yeah, kind of missed the mark. Didn't get any elims. They went down a little bit earlier as well. Looks like surge issues possibly. But while this is all happening, maybe this is why Loki Deceptos are having trouble.
Maybe.
Looking at the way Reason, Vidil, Noah Riley, they're just free flowing across the entire map, and Pleasant might be on their sights for more than just one game.
Yeah, and this team right here has finished 25th, 17, and 26, and only getting 1 elim. 1 elim from this solid trio who've been doing really well in this season so far. Oh, you're right, man. Vidil trio has just been having the free opportunity. Vidil trio is playing as if they're landing at Sweaty Sands. So that trio, anywhere they land, they're going to go ahead and see what they can do. And if they get a couple of tags, they're going all in. And look how strong they are. I wonder what kind of weapons they would have walking out of Boney Burbs, and look at it. Such a solid one right now. And I don't think Floki wants this fight. They're not going to do anything right now. And look how much Noah Riley is just walking up into this house. Like no beams are coming his way. They don't want this fight, child. They don't want it, but Noah wants it and he's going in.
They have to take it regardless. That was the perfect time to go for a 3-way beam, but no one even peeks. Now Noah Riley is going to pick this apart. A hot knife through butter all the way to the bottom of these builds, but he doesn't even want to break it down. Going all the way up, close and personal to Clement. He wants to get inside that box. This man is not only looking to win the fight, but looking to toss some disrespect in the setup. That Floki Clement have. Reason just walks all the way up, and these guys look scared. I'm not sure what it is, but Deceptos left behind. A 3v2 situation. The classic Noah Vidil pinch about to happen while Reason makes sure Deceptos doesn't go through. Now he drops down and participates as well. I mean, what is this? I've never seen Floki, Clement, and Deceptos be on the defensive so bad in Pleasant Park.
And these are great fighters. Decepto has been on a hot streak this season. Been really solid solo with a lot of solo clutches. He is no slouch in himself right here. But when you're in the target on the eyesight of Noah Riley's trio, you just become a pub fodder on essentially, man. It is what you become.
I mean, we keep saying that Pleasant's uncontested, but I guess that's like kind of wrong, right? If this is going to be happening every single game, you're definitely going to be running into a God trio rolling with you, who's looking to fight and looking for that upgrade station around the same time that you are as well. So definitely some issues in the early game that Deceptos has to kind of get over, all inside the same house. No fireflies. Just, yeah, there's the gas canister. I was waiting for something to roll through on the wood builds, and now they're basically on a timer in this house. Gonna have to move through. It'll take a while though, so let's check in with Guild Gamut Trio, Thomas HD, and Nas Flick. Oh no, that's what I'm talking about. When you have position, go for the punish. Nas, I'm not sure how I didn't even lose that shield. Fastroki, Ardent Pizza, looking for revenge. This trio got usurped, I believe, in the last game by Thomas Flick and Nas. They were rolling through all the way on height, or it might have been 2 games ago. They went for big shots, and now they set up a trap to kind of get some revenge. Pizza, though, low on HP, the same as Flick. It's even both ways through. Fastroki, the healthiest of this trio, all the way on height. It's gonna be a rough and very dirty fight. It's isolated, though. No one can really interrupt Sancho. They're gonna see this feud through.
You're seeing the engages break on dead side rotations. That was a great position from Fastroki coming out of Lazy Lake, going to their Storm Surge location there to look for anyone doing a dead side. And that's Thomas H. and Nas and Flick, always doing dead side rotations. They're coming from Dirty Dogs, remember, the Danish Dogs. Right now, they're running into a roadblock. And Podosai, I don't know, must have changed their drop spot. Now, Podosai was usually landing Southeast Stronghold. We see Podosai all the way on this side of the map. Now we're going to our #1 team sitting really solid right now, considering that they're going into this match at 14 points. Not a big lead, not comfortable just yet, considering this is only day 1. But right now, some lobby focus coming through. And that's what's always dangerous of making these car rotations, is you're going to make a lot of noise and eventually someone's going to stop you dead in your tracks. But I think Injetta Savage and Revsguard, who've been doing really well today. They've been sitting off on distance, third party comfortably, getting tags on some third party fights. And I remember when I was watching Zayt stream one day, and Zayt was talking about great teams play Storm Surge positions. They're not about looking for elims. They set them up so where the lobby comes to them, they could get some great beams. And that's what Savage's trio has been doing so well today.
You said they were looking really solid. I like that, but also want to challenge it in terms of the solid being glass. right now with their position, 129 points to 115 from Hen, Genis, and Chapix right behind them. It's a lead, but it can definitely be caught up on. And that trio of Hen, Genis, and Chapix have been taken out, right, in the early game. So it definitely is a chance now to turn that glass into, you know, rock hard stone. The thing is, though, if they slip up this game, everyone can still catch up and make it a close race. For this 2-day type of format, you want first place if you're in that position. Be way far ahead of everyone else. Right now, they have a 30-ish point lead on the third place team.
Yeah, we saw for a moment there, Bloomy's trio sitting all the way on the West Coast. That is the Fort Crumpet split. This is one of those circles they have to capitalize in. When the circles come your way and they're in your backyard, that's your chance to do well. The only thing you have to overcome is Storm Surge tags, because, you know, teams are not going to get there yet. You're not going to have an opportunity to pick on people making rotations like you're seeing here with Jetsku's trio. There is another trio on the right side. They've been shooting shots their way, doing all they can to get a 20-30 tag here, and that's Jamside Dementos coming from Misty Meadows. So those are the rotation periods that are coming through, and now we're seeing Save It Rifla coming from Weeping Widows here, going against Queasy. The Weeping Wood trio right now in danger, and Queasy and Jerksy, they're like, you know what? We're not going to fight you, bro. We want height.
Right now, it's kind of just bluffs back and forth between all teams. Still, though, you know, this one we're talking about on the bottom right, Queasy, Jerky, Trulex. I mean, I just don't feel like they've had a good enough bite out of all the placement points in the Elim so far. Rocking in 7th place, sometimes in top 10, off of high ground positions, off of positions to win the game. I'm not even saying that they've choked, but they've been interrupted. They've been stopped by so many different trios from game 1 all the way to game 4. And, you know, past that too, I think in game 5, this is where they really need to lock it in and have a good game.
That's the kind of thing you deal with. If you go for high ground, you expend so much mats, and once you get taken off, you get kicked off that pedestal, you're basically instantly in shambles, and any team that's been sitting at mid ground will look really solid.
This dirty fight's still rolling through. And yeah, it's kind of coming in slow for Flick, Thomas, and Anas. You can see the stat on the left side of your screen. Historically speaking, they have slow starts. This is the fastest we've seen so far. Even losing this fight, Flick going down, they shouldn't be too shaken up. Rolling in on the 2-day format, pizza traded. I mean, guys, the zone's gone away. There's a 4-day game to play, but they don't care. They're still locking in, and they're making sure this feud goes the whole way.
And now the distance is Podosai. I have to wonder what Podosai is doing, but he's still a lone survivor, as Thomas HD gonna have to dip into the meat. A new addition into this primal season. Just enough but here, but he's gonna have to get these eliminations to get as much heals as possible, because after this he has a long trek here. Now down to only 7 builds, armed with a purple pump. All it takes is one big shot, a critical shot, and he could survive this. No! Critical shot denied. Fazroki moves on through.
What is Bodaside doing?
That's what I'm saying, dude!
He rolls into the fight. I'm like, yo, cool angle. I guess you were like dodging the storm.
Just
and like
keep going,
you're about
dude,
to pick
right?
up on an Elim. Was he running away from Wolfies? Maybe
I don't know,
I'm not
dude.
even. What is Wolfies doing running into the storm?
I don't know.
Either way, this is
so strange.
Strange for sure. And he got pumped hard too. So, you know, Fazroki eating even better from the situation. They get 3 Elims, wrap up another. I guess Anas just went down the storm. Wolfies is now
yeah.
waiting. What happened on this side of the map?
know.
4 different trios losing teammates, running in the storm. It feels like I'm watching an old version of NA West.
Yeah, and then Podosai, who has been landing in Stealthy Stronghold on this side of the map, man. Stranger things do happen here in the competitive play for FNCS, but what's not strange is Trulex and Jerky and Queasy vying for height. Now we're taking a look here. Jules is all the way on the coastline. It's a very dangerous position to be, if I would say, because it's really rare that zone. I've never seen an in-game go towards those little islands. I have never seen anything like that. It could happen here today. I would not put it past the zone, but now we see Reason down at the skate park here trying to hold on. Now Wolfies is going up against a prehistoric foe, and that is a raptor, and I think Wolfies is in trouble.
Okay, I'm dubbing that the favorite portion of my map. I'm not sure what's going on in this 5th game, but it's clear that a lot of people are having some fun. Wolfie's looking for that last Elim 2 solo player.
Spooky.
Hey, at least give the Raptor a name for the feed, right? That's 2 Elims in the European FNCS so far that they've had. That could be a big one too for Wolfies, right? This man is somewhat close towards that top spot. He's looking to come all the way through and in. Actually having a much more rougher day now that I look back at it, but
I could see the social media posts from Wolfies talking about the Raptor, but you know,
no,
you're
it's not
right.
even that, man. It's just
Yeah,
he was already in a position
yes,
where
I mean, he was
things
already
are
in
tough.
shambles.
Reason as
Right.
well. What's going on over here?
My goodness.
Once again, the pattern continues of these guys having such good starts to tournaments, and then after that, getting so confident in mid-game and end-game fights that they bite off a little bit more than they can chew. Another end game they won't see all the way towards the very end. It's good for the rest of the lobby. They get to be a little bit more calm. But man, how many times can they take this hit before, you know, it gets out of the top 5?
It's called fool's gold, child. You hit a little gold, get a little taste of the glory, and you think, yo, this is our day. But when it comes to FNCS, sometimes it is not going to be. You may have a little bit, an hour of the day, maybe. You just got to hold on to those moments as much as possible and let them go so you can not be blinded going forward here by that fool's gold. Now we're taking a look at everybody that's kind of set in for position here for this in-game. And right now, the leader of the pack, Andretta, Mr. Savage, and Revscard looking really good right now, really good. If zone pulls their way, look at that, look at the mini map. They have so many options, as you see right in front of Andretta's POV, to take tags at anybody making their way.
Well, they're trying to lead the lobby in points. Trulex, Squeezy, and Jerky are really trying to lead this lobby on high ground. Unfortunately, don't pull a version of zone that they can even work off of. There's another base already built, but I feel like Red Rush has height. It'll be Tomsy actually, who's all the way up top. Once again, the Brave and the Bold all the way up top are looking to have another shot at controlling a game, but it was so tricky when that half and half came in. You know, it doesn't matter where your height position is. If you don't get it, you'll have to move.
Right now, the team that doesn't have to move is Andretta as much as possible. They're a little bit, literally, dude, that couple of meters, because we're EU casting, that couple of meters is just enough to be that advantage that you need. Look at that. So many boxes right there that they're just ahead of this, like, congestion that you're seeing. And that is what's been putting them in those great positions. Let's see where this is. In about 45 seconds, Zone 5 will be revealed here. And already so many trios, they have no choice. They're kind of going into the south side of this turnstile. And it's about to get very spicy here in a second if Zone 5 pushes out of their way.
Even spicier for Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky. They're only 50 damage above Surge, and they had high ground for such a long time in one of the zones. So missed a few shots here and there. Don't have as much inventory or opportunity, but Mappy, Red Rush, Exterios, they're there.
Oh my.
It's not just one
What a wipe.
community shot rolling in from all 3 players to wipe out a team. That was beautiful.
Wow, Stereo. Whew. That was really solid. That was kind of calculated how they were able to do that. And vital, because Storm Surge, now they're 226 above. Let's see where Zone 5 goes. Let's see, Shio. It kind of goes. I'm kind of seeing where everybody's rotating through. And right now, no one's really making movements right now. And there it is. The zone has been revealed.
It's right beside what looks like Queasy, Trulex, but here comes that Storm Surge rolling in. Looks like they might just be the only ones inside, but have to take shots. Stompy goes down. Revscard, Savage, and Andretta will have to slightly move, but aren't too far away. They can bar so many trios coming in. Still 52 players left alive. 2 need to go down for the Surge to stop. Savage doesn't care about the lightning through the skies. There it is. Another big strike on the Shadow. This is the trio that's in trouble. They land one more shot. They have a chance for Stompy to survive, but Joe's gonna get picked up as well. It's going to be looking real bad. They're out of AR ammo. Not sure what more they can do from their spot above them. Exterios, Mappy, they move over. Boom, Percival, Tomsy had height. They have to now operate off of low ground to take another big spot. Shadow's still down. The revive taking a long time. No, he got picked up. Stompy got sniped down. They went back through below on Surge, taken out once again on the backside. Trulex, though, yes, they have height. Jules and Sun, again, are up to the stars with Zeku. They're also contesting and saying, we want control of this game. Trulex has another opponent that this time they can see and hopefully strike down.
4ZR's trio right now on the low ground, right next door to Savages. No doubt Savage is not on that same layer, understanding that there is a dangerous trio on it. Now Zone 5 is about to close here, and we're already seeing Jules and Jerky here going to go for height. Where the first movement goes through as Ovation's Knight gets taken down. The great defense, the height awareness right now, that may be enough for them to hold on, but Jerky sees all this going across the way, and Jules' son and Zico, they have to give it up. They have to give it up, and it goes away from them. So it's okay that they lost height because they have to move, but Trulex, Squeezy, and Jerky right now have to make some decisions.
That That was the 7th and 8th place team having 2 different bases battling for height. As they look up in the skies, aerial warfare down below on land. The soldiers all the way on 2 different fronts. Savage and Refsguard are down. It's up to Andretta to clutch this out on his lonesome. Unfortunate for him, they have a few eliminations to make this a game that's actually worthwhile. He could clutch here, but man, only 100 effective HP to work with. No extra heals available in the inventory either. This is trouble.
6 builds and armed with a green pump. Oh my goodness, sneaks in some shots here. Now working on the bottom side, looking to trip up the trio right above here. Gets a knock on Fusion. Big time. That's going to be enough for that Siphon. That kind of answers that question there. How they get the heals here, so now he's picking axe his way through metal.
What that Elam, or basically Knock, did, he's not going to get the full Elam for the moment, is put him ahead of Surge. So he has a chance to survive. There's the full finish. It comes in at the perfect time. The Siphon putting him back up to 55 HPs on the backside of zone. Can only take 3 more ticks. He finds a breath of fresh air, drop down back into the builds. He saw glory, freedom for a second, but is imprisoned once again by bullets from Savin on the side. Unfortunate for him all the way on the zone side of this game. Sun taken out on the back as well. Trulex, Squeezy, and Jerky. Definitely light shining for them on height. They have no one to interrupt them for the moment. This could be their game to break into the top 5.
They are very close, though, to the mass that is right below them. I asked what were they going to do. They have decisions to make. I should have known that they're going to stay on height and expend as many materials as possible. There is a team rotating right in front of them on the right side here. Trulex squeezing Jerky here with no eliminations here, only 101 points. They have to get some eliminations to move up the leaderboard, considering they're in 7th place here. An opportunity to get that victory royale is right here. They could seize the moment here. Highcrest getting bullied right there on the backside of Storm. Screwy Expert right now making their way through. Trulex and Queasy and Jerky do not see them. Remember, we have the ability to see x-rays, so they're not be able to see. They're just kind of using their experience to understand where people come through. Mappy, even second from height, gets taken. Actually, he knocks Kaiser. So Mappy almost had an opportunity to take it, but now he has some dealing with on the other side underneath him to deal with. 4ZR, a solo here with 2 elims, total for the team 6. Tayson and Nate are all watching 4ZR to see if he can clutch as zone goes south.
Started top 10. He's also looking to go towards the top 5 slot and go in the last game of the tournament after this one with a very, very sizable gap between everyone between him and below. As the Synthos gets a few more eliminations, there's so many solos available on the downside. Trulex, Squeezy, and Jerky, I feel like are the last trio who are still surviving. Mappy put in the blender, completely taken out on low ground. Sapphic is all the way on the front side, but Queasy and Trulex are not stopping the pressure. 4ZR as a solo player, still on the back, wall to wall against Jerky, but he doesn't get to be seen just yet. A reverse ramp edit makes enough space for him to drop down and reposition. That's glorious. Look at the edits and the builds coming through. He finds another layer where he's uninterrupted. No one's on it. Somehow he has so much freedom to just chill, let the placement roll through, but he'll have to act towards the end of this game.
He has 2 floppers and a med kit if he wants to make a storm play. It is an option for him. As we've seen Jerky get a knock on Iris here. The high team is trying to close out any hope to make sure that low ground doesn't steal away the victory royale. This is right in their hands right now. Big beams right on time to Stormy's head right now. Trulex has to be satisfied. That is Queasy. Knocks Siberia, confirms Siberia. Here it is, a top 3 situation. The beams go through, and in a blink of an eye, Queasy, Jerky, and Trulex get the victory royale. I thought that was going to be a drawn-out fight, but a couple of beams going everybody's way, and Trulex gets the victory royale. And as well, like I said, elims matter a lot in a 12-game set.
That's the second time in that game we also saw one edit and moment come through with multiple shots that got, ended the fight or the game. That game, though, it was a top 10 advancement. We'll see exactly where they land on. We'll throw it over to Zeke, Levin, and Reese to see exactly how the leaderboard looks.
Thank you guys so much. And as always, you guys are killing it, or eliminating it on the broadcast. Don't worry, I saved it. Guys, wow. So I feel like we've been seeing Queasy, Trulex, Jerky. They've been on the high ground for like almost all of these games. I think there's only been one game they've not had high ground, but finally they're allowed to execute and close out on the victory royale. And a lot of it was just like controlling what was kind of going on, right? I love them being able to kind of put on their display their prowess in Fortnite. And that's what they need to do, right? As long as they can actually transition and make that to those final few moments, they could very well pick up another victory royale.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been in the position to do it many games, and they've picked up a second and an eighth. You know, we've just not managed to clutch all the way to that victory royale until this moment. And to be honest with you, when I was looking at this this actual the amount of players we had here, I was thinking, man, there's so many good low ground teams. The low ground's going to be an absolute battle because we have like 6 or 7 teams who are super dominant. There are a lot of teams right now just playing pure high ground. We have obviously Queasy's team, and one of the teams that obviously we mentioned earlier, Zico's team. They've been always in that 5th zone, really high up. So again, this is going to be a peak battle between these teams who are consistently looking for high ground over and over again. And can Queasy's team keep pulling this off? Seems like they're being pretty consistent with it so far.
Yeah, their 5th zone positioning has been phenomenal. To be in a position to almost have high ground in almost every single game you play is insane, right? There's clearly a lot of thought put in there, and I think we know this from them. We know that this is what they're going to do. We know they're going to have these games where they will eventually just get the victory out, because you go for high so many times, eventually the lobby is going to have to let you have it. And this was their game. Can they have more of these kind of games, right? That's the big question. I think you look at their match history in other competitions, all the time you see a lot more consistency in terms of maybe, you know, a couple 5th, 6th, 4th, those kind of things. Can they sort of get to that now? I think that victory hour pushes them forward and maybe gives them that confidence going forward to continue to have these kind of good games.
That's all you need, right? Confidence to just make sure you can execute upon your game plan, and that will help you make or break those moments. But boys, we're seeing a lot of shakeups coming into the leaderboard after game number 5. And specifically, what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Talk to me about our last season's trios champions.
Look, Janice, Hen, Chapix, we've seen this fight over and over again, but it has not gone this way for them yet. And if you look at that exactly from High Chris's POV, right, they managed to both drop on the same gun going for it, but because the slightly better drop from High Chris, he manages to pick up this elimination. If we move over to Hen's POV, you can see him now trying to scout out being on the high ground on the roof, but it doesn't yet again work out for him because fantastic movement and peaks to approach that roof, right? Hen thought he had the advantage on the high ground, but notice this from High Chris, right? He moves up and notice where he is right now. He's on this right-hand peak from this wall, and the movement here is absolutely beautiful. Rather than jumping out and making it a 50-50 with Hen's team, he actually jumps up and to the left, and if you notice, he completely stays hidden almost, and this allows him to get a huge tag off on Hen when Hen doesn't manage to hit him back that much at all in trying to reaction for it. See? Beautiful. And then High Chris again, good movement to drop down, come up behind and hit the big shot. And then, you know, from Vortex's POV, it's now a 3v1 because these guys have done a really good job off spawn. They get the shakedown. They see Chapix trying to get out of there. He's trying to leave. He says to get any points we possibly can from here, but it was not enough. Unfortunately, Chapix does go down and get eliminated. So this is a real shakeup because we've seen these guys win 4 of the 5 fights so far. So maybe this is a bit of momentum that they need to start climbing the leaderboards.
Yeah, and maybe that's the hope they needed, right? I think if they had finished today losing 6-0 off spawn, that's where you sort of consider the next day, yeah, guys, it's not going too well, maybe we leave. So hopefully that's the confidence they need to maybe stay in this one. You can see the leaderboards, though. Refscott and Jetta and Mrs. Savage remain on top. And look, this is a big sign of things to come for these guys potentially, right? We saw last season what happens when you're at the end of the first day. It doesn't necessarily remain that way. So can these guys go into that next day and continue to say that? I say that at the top and comfortably, but 4 points separates them between Red Rush, Exteriors, and Mappy. And that's literally, what, 2 eliminations, really? So fine margins here coming into that final game. But the teams who have stepped up today, you know, have really been impressive. They provided for some of the best entertainment we've had all season.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you get the best of the best trios all fighting against each other, all being in the same lobby together. And what is kind of disappointing from this is we have seen Vadil, No Riley Reason, go from first after game 1 to kind of really slowing down and not keeping that momentum going all the way down to 11th. Am I too worried about this for these guys? No. Not at all, because if you remember back to last season, these guys are not a consistent team in terms of their placement, but they're just going to have another victory royale with 15, 20 eliminations at some point, do something absolutely mad, and we will see them just fly up the leaderboards. Like, that's what their playstyle has always been about. They'll win one game, maybe even another one, and have a really high elimination other game, and I do not think we're going to keep seeing them on this second page at all. I do think these guys are a bit on form.
That's crazy to think that that's like a reasonable thing for them. Like a reasonable, yeah, we'll just get a 20 elimination game and go about our day.
Bro, that's what I was going to say, though, because we see that a lot from a trio that, like, they get the first win and then they just peter out. But for these guys, that's probably the best case situation for them, right? So we'll have to see. but 1 game left. This is it. Finally, we're here. We're going to set the stage going into tomorrow, so we're not going to waste any more time. Sancho West Shire Wager, game number 6 of the FNCS Finals starts right now.
If this was a one-day tournament, Savage, Refsguard, and Dreda, they would be on top, Sancho, and it would not be a close race either. They've done so well entirely rolling in. Yes, it's kind of a 4-point difference, but they look so much more consistent than every team behind them. I feel like they have what it takes to run out this day, these 6 games in the first place slot.
Absolutely agree with you there. I know they're my pick, but they're more of my pick because of their circumstances of having a free drop spot and at the same time, Mr. Savage's ability to clutch. But hey, and Dreda and Refsguard as well, been putting in the work alongside with them. But this trio right here, Mappy doing the Cammy split, have been putting in the work, kind of flying completely under the radar. No predictions picked for Red Rush and Exteriorize and Mappy, and they're looking really solid right now, considering they're in second place. They're a team that does not like to play for height. They kind of sit in the mid ground, and that is why they've been avoiding all the chaos down the low and been surviving all those high ground retakes. And now a team now has to do a little bit more survival here, fighting for their ride here is Blaster Alpha Nikos.
Nikov Alpha Blaster will roll in. If you're looking at all these types of big names with Crazy Save It on the side as well, why aren't they all the way in the top 5? What happens? What's the difference between, you know, Red Rush, Exterios, Mappy, Crazy, Trulex, and Jerky, and these 2 trios? Well, it's just the drops. These guys are forced into a fight every single time. It's been going on for all 6 games here in Weeping Woods, and if you end up winning just half of them, you only end up playing half the games compared to everyone else. Unfortunately, because of this, both these trios are just now so much more bad. 47 points rolling in for Nikov. Save It is picking him off as well. It's just trouble.
This is what we're seeing here, the inexperience of Blaster Trio landing in Weeping Woods. They have no other options but land the main cabin, and now they're being pinched from someone in rolling in a vehicle here. Blaster, Alpha, Nikov. I'm expecting this trio to make adjustments as Rifle is coming into this fight right up in it with the car, and Blaster is just too much to handle as Crizzy, Save It, and Rifle wipe out that trio. But that's the thing is, if you're not experienced at the draw spot, what do? Okay, we're gonna go to the main cabin. We know that's what the Weeping Woods trios do. And who's there? Save It. We all thought going forward, I remember Reese kind of looking into this fight, they thought that they were split it east to west. That's usually what happens when 2 teams are landing into Weeping Woods, but that's not happening at all. But what is happening, fireworks are still happening in Craigie Cliffs.
10 down again, but a quick trade on the Vortex makes it a 2v2. Knight and Chapix going to be head-to-head. Janice is going to be on the side as well against High Chris. Big fight brewing up, and they have total control of low and height from the side of our FNCS champions. High Chris, though, is getting close and personal, almost retaking it all the way up top with bricks. It's going to be very hard to shoot down. Janice and Hen, Janice and Chapix, excuse me, are going to be right there side by side all the way on height. Knight is trying so hard to get all the way up top. High Chris, haircut a little bit there on the jump. You got to be very careful because Chapix and Janice are frustrated. They're ready to just clap back on this fight. They've only lost this duel once today, and they're not trying to have that mistake happen again. Here goes Chapix down again on the hunt. The chase sees Knight on the side, doesn't care. He knows that Hikers is out of mats, and there it is. The big pickup. They'll let Hen run out for now. They have the reboot close by as well, still making this a 2v1. Chapix is not stopping with this purple pump. He's still just hitting shot after shot. It might just be 30. But if you hit it 35 times, the damage adds up, and now Knight is on the retreat.
And that math equals 0 HP for 2 competitors here, dropping at Craigie Cliffs. We're talking about a message need to be sent by Janice and Chapix and Hen to discourage High Chris, but Reese has been talking about they've been landing here multiple seasons. They may not be able to leave. This may be one of those kind of pre-fights that we'll be watching throughout the entire FNCS tournament here in Season 6. This is just game 6 right now. It's gone so far. If you're just tuning in, 5-1 so far, 4-1. See, there it is. I did it. It took me a while, but I did it.
4-1. Now it's going to be 5-1, basically rolling in this.
That's game. What I mean. I was probably getting ahead of myself. I already said 5-1.
You almost did it.
I'm already in the future with Savage's clutch. That's going to happen in game 12. I'm already there. I have to come back in my time machine, come back to the present. Just like Chapix is doing, you know, he always values the present. And now we're taking a look here at the first zone being revealed. It's a Lazy Lake centered zone. So we all know the bad snipers and ooh.
Oh
We've
my
seen
God,
all that happen.
I'm getting
what do
the,
you
you know,
see?
the flashbacks of like game number
Flashbacks.
1.
You're in a
it goes
time
down to
machine
the
yourself.
mountain.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Goes down
just
south.
it's trouble, man. Every time I see this zone, it keeps pulling
Or-
south. It doesn't
or-
ever go up.
Or Misty Meadows Lake. We all love that kind of finish as well. A lot of aquaticness.
Yeah, it's tough games though for everyone, no matter where you land. Even if it's misty on the map, you really have to make sure you're playing endgame properly. But still, early game Ting's going down, and Craggy Cliffs will have the reboot run through, and Knight try to survive and be a little bit of a nuisance as these guys move out. Meta Sky's to an expert. They're rolling in today as well, defying expectations.
Yeah,
17th
I would
place
say
for the
so.
first moment,
17th.
and everyone had them like at the bottom 5. So this is really good, a very good showing on the first day. Remember, 2-day
I agree.
competition. You want to have a good pedestal. The next
Right.
day they can, absolutely turn on the NOS and be even better.
And right now, their mental's feeling good right now. Going at Colossal Crops, no one's going to be, you don't have to worry about, you don't have to do some kind of research on the drop spots. You just look at your rotations and maybe zones go your way.
For the moment, 2 first to 5th, 5th being 4ZR Nate on your screen right now, alongside Tayson. It's the closest we've seen in terms of EU finals after 5 games. So they're definitely giving us a show for day 2. Usually the situation in EU is like there's a clear villain all the way in first with a big gap. I
Yep.
personally thought it'd be Savage just the way they're playing out, but yeah, Red Rush, Exteriors, Mappy, they're playing really well. Reason, Noah Riley, and Vidil, they might be dropping down the ranks, but they're affecting trios as they basically fall. The shots, not Storm Surge, but everything else in between. So Noah Riley's still chasing. They're not stopping this pattern of absolute aggression, and it's looking good.
You talk about villains in the lobby. They're definitely the nemesis of Save It's Trio. Some homework has got to be done to do some
Oh,
defense.
God.
Maybe rotate out. Crizzy getting tagged. No shields. Cracked. Noah trying to get in. Trying to box dive his way in. Riflet now to help out his teammate. A little bit of a pause in the defense as Save It is dealing with his own issues on the other side of the rest of the trio of Noah Riley. This is the classic, like you mentioned, the classic pincer play that they have. But actually, Reason gets knocked. Shadow knocks Reason, so Noah Riley and Vidil have to make a decision here. Do they disengage as Shadow, Joe, and Stompy are now making their way through?
Yeah, this fight's a little bit too extravagant, too accessible. Look at it. A high ground, absolute build off on the left. On the right, a separate team doing box fights. They're playing 2 creative maps at once. The funny part is they were winning at both. It's just, it was one mistake made by Reason. They have to dial it back a bit, and I believe they'll be running right back through as well.
For them, their perfect conditions in a box fight is just no third parties. We've seen them last season on those West Coast against Ingram. They just got so many clean, quick box fighting out the way. But as soon as you introduce a third party 4th, sometimes 5th, that's when things get a little bit messy for them. It's not as comfortable for them. And you're already seeing that they do tend to lose a member there, slipping from starting in the first place, going down to middle of the board right now, going into this match 11th place.
And this is an insane strategy. These guys look like superheroes. And I understand they have the skins on too, but getting shot by Butrick, a big drift around an entire mountain. I'm not sure who the driver was there. Absolutely insane. They're ready for the fight. They're going for tags. I feel like this trio, Kiko's, is just confused. How did this happen? They were in a car and they were far away going the other way. He gets absolutely beamed and dealt with in 2 seconds. My God. 4ZR, Tayson, and Nate are playing out of their minds.
Hottie picks up Janice in the feed, but you're right here. My question is, Putrix Trio is usually landing out there in Retail Row. What kind of rotation or adjustment did they make to end up over here? As he's getting absolutely maximized for Storm Surge by getting bowed right to the dome right then and there. But let's take a look here. Yes, Janice knocked here. This is what happens when you're being contested in your drop spot. I've already mentioned before, you're just late. And we all know when you're late to work, you're late to school, you're not even eating correctly, you're a little bit more aggressive the way you're driving, you just make a lot of mistakes, and before you know it, you're gonna get punished when you get to school. That teacher's sitting there like, you're late. Now you have to stay a little bit late and in detention. I'm not talking about flashbacks. I'm just saying, that's just what I've heard, what happens at school.
Very, very
I was a good
descriptive.
student. I was a good student. I was a good kid.
Overly descriptive though. So hey, I don't know. I'm not going to challenge it. I believe you.
Just
But
say it. I'm a good kid.
my man had accuracy on that one. Okay. Yeah, Hen and Traffic, so it is a little bit of trouble, and they're rolling in the top 10 as well off of day 1, 115 points, up to 121 off the off-spawn fight, and the placement that will eventually hopefully roll through to get them a little bit higher. They have a lot of corn, they have a med kit as well, apples. This is the orchard, right? Like in terms of tournaments that had survive as long as possible, this was used as one of the spots to be in there, right?
Bevs
Yeah,
retreated back in there and was able to survive and get some crucial place and points to qualify. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it's a very good spot to be in if you're in trouble, I guess. It's the worst or the best of the worst on the map. So good for them so far, but I wonder how much they're gonna get. Right now, if you're looking at, you know, just claiming space in the game, really trying to move up and be proactive, I feel like 4ZR, Tayson, and Nate are doing exactly that. Ditch the car, move up Caddy Mountain. They've seen the zone before, they know where it goes. Percival, Bloom, and Tomsy will do the same thing they've done every game we've seen so far, make an early base. While that happens, Kaiser,
the Rift.
Oh, it's Hellfire. They come rolling in, and just like Nate, 4ZR, and Tayson did the Kiko before, it's not a drift this time, it's a parachute fly-in that gets them beamed, caught by surprise, not engaged though, so they'll be able to play out the rest of their game.
What a smart use of that rift you could get. You could use gold. We haven't talked about that in-game currency. They purchased that rift right on the south side of Lazy Lake, and they pushed right on through and pretty much cut a dangerous rotation considering they had to use materials to go up it. But now Kaiser just gets beamed down from 4ZR named Tayson with a triple spray, and Bloomy's trio is watching this from height. That's why 4ZR has to protect their head, but that's a huge knock that they get from Kaiser, and they get all the way through. And wow, Tayson, Nate, and 4ZR, 130 points. They may be able to finish the day in the top 3.
Game 6 effect. It doesn't matter if there's 12 you have to play in total. On that last game, you'll see certain teams playing past their potential, playing absolutely insane. And that's exactly what Tayson, 4ZR, and Nate are doing right now. Up in Caddy Corner, so many trios around them. They're still finding a way to get so many close personal eliminations. Look at the status of the lobby, though. Look at the game 5, Sancho. We had so many storm fights. We had like 61 people going into the 5th zone and so many less teams playing overall. Now, 30 teams still alive. Only 2 have gone down. Even though all these picks that Nate, Tayson, and 4ZR are getting is just 1 player or 2 players per trio. Everyone wants to survive and play out this last game.
Bloomy wants to hold on to height and try to get a victory out, but I don't know how strong they're going to be. They're going to have to play out of their minds and out of their norm to be able to hold on to height to this dangerous lobby that still lurks down below.
And one thing about these circumstances, even what you're talking about with Tomsy and Bloomy, right? They might not be as good as playing for the win, so to speak, when it comes down to game 6. Trios like Marine, Lanouf, people who've won the reboot round, Save it as well, right? Who've survived off spawn, they get a mini buff this game. They're used to and thrive in playing in situations where everyone's going for the win or going for max placement. So watch out for those trios. Look at us, Thomas HD as well. I'm not sure if it's like the Benjamin Button effect. I don't know what to call it. As the games go through, they look even more youthful throughout what they're playing with, right? You go from games 1 to 6 up to 12, they look better and better, start to get even more points. You're seeing that. They're learning. We'll see what they do this game as they wait on the mountain. Mappy, Red Rushing Cereals are not making it easy for anyone to catch up. Second place, still getting elims, still looking good so far. I feel like they've tied now with Refsguard, Andretta, and Mr. Savage. They're very close to at least, 2 eliminations. It was a 4-point difference. They're tied for first place now for day 1. And in this game, they could take it over from that first place team. A big shot onto Red Rush, though. It's the 33rd place team, I believe, of Podesai rolling in to affect these guys, but he has a med kit. It looks good for now. Man, everyone's trying their best as hard as possible.
And Mappy's trio has been doing their best. In the semis, they've been getting an average of top 10 placement. So that best is really working for them in this finals. The momentum, they are riding that wave really strong here. And they've been seeing it here, considering they're in second place. They're all, like I said, they stay away from the chaos of the low ground. They in about two grid places above that mid ground, and they avoid all the chaos and take height when their opportunity presents itself.
And the scariest thing about Red Rushing Cereals and Mappy as well, if they make it to top 10, they usually end up going all the way through towards the 5th, the 3rd, the 2nd places. So very dangerous to have them in the end game. These guys are survivors.
And they get 3 elims every time they play in the semifinals. So they rack up some very valuable elimination points, considering that they're worth 2. But now we're on here, Tayson, 4ZR, and Nate. 3 eliminations looking really strong, coming all the way from Sweaty Sands. And look at the position they have. And the Alexa trio coming from Camp Cod. Not just yet at the tippy top. We have Queasy Trulex, no surprise, at close to height here. But there's still a lot of work for all the teams down in Retail Road, down on the low ground here on the terrain. Look at this rotation. You know, once they get through this kind of line of defense of everyone rotating through, there's going to be someone sitting. Those green arrows on the mini map right now are going to be greening them with bullets.
Yeah, man, for Red Rush right now, it's going to be trouble on rotates. Yeah, every time I feel like I see a team not building enough and just rotating in a line, especially out of a POI, there's always a jump scare. Exterios left behind. This rotate, you do not want to stop in this spot. Those green arrows, you were talking about them. Yes, that's Mr. Savage looking in. If you stop for even a moment, once again, if they see a frame of your body not protected by builds, they're hitting their shots. So Red Rush wants to move over. This is no man's land between the mountain and retail row. You do not want to be caught in between. There's too many teams looking for surge tags. So try to make it over to the mountain. Looks good for now. Lots of other teams are barely making it in. Look at the congestion on the word corner. And the corner are these teams in this spot right now. So many of them have to move in. And because of the mountain, look at the way the arrows are positioned on the mini map on the bottom right. Because of the mountain, everyone's looking into the caddy corner. There's no way they're going to be able to move even an inch further. They're stuck on zone line. Everyone is on all sides of the map.
Now the problem just gets deeper and deeper. Right now, Thomas, HD, and Nas and Flick, they do get a big pool of rotation here, but so far, no one's in their way. Everybody that's on the level of Andretta's trio that we saw just a moment ago, they're the ones in trouble. Now Thomas HD, could he get that bow shot that he's known for? That accuracy from a long distance to slow down that team from height? No, he doesn't connect. But look at it. Look how free this looks like. And you can't imagine what's happening on that mini map you see on the north side. Sun, Jules. Now, Zico and Jules Sun are going to do this as a duo right now. And they're the one that are sitting right there. So that's going to be one less gun looking down on this rotation.
The freedom for Thomas HD's team makes the rest of the trios basically reek of desperation. Everyone's moved in so fast, aren't playing as much of a patient game. Meanwhile, Thomas, who waited all the way back on zone line near the north, has this free, basically, section of control on the entire map. Interacting with that NPC will give you random loot drops, and they get minis to top off with as well. That's huge. Be careful, though, how low you go on this mountain. You're going to have to wrap all the way back up here, this Gamma Guild squad, but there's 2 more or 3 more players still waiting. Down below, it's 10. Chapix and Janice, they've survived somehow, and they're rebooted all the way up. They've looted an extra spot on the left side of the map, and they look good so far.
Now let's see who else is looking good. Anilex is second from height, and they're going to have an opportunity to turn their fate around here. This is game 6. If you're just tuning in, the last game of the day for the EU region. Tomorrow, we have other 6 more games to go to determine who is the FNCS champion. Will it be the defending champion of Hen, or will a new trio step up to the plate? Right now, Refsguard, Andretta, and Mr. Savage are in the #1 spot, but only by a victory royale, because Red Rush is right behind them with 140 points going into this match.
Look at some of the patterns in terms of positioning we see so far. Once again, Sun and Jules on high ground. 3 games in a row, they haven't been able to keep it, but this time it's on top of a mountain. Who could possibly take it over from this spot? Andalex doesn't have peppers. I see Queasy. I see Trulex again right below them. They might be the ones. I'm laughing because it happens every game. They need to have that one game of pop-off. Meanwhile, Stormy right here, actually 2 down to a duel. 130 points. They're inside that top 5. 4th place affected. Lost a leg in this end game race for this final game. It'll be trouble to see how they work around it. The last 2 first and second place teams from the FNCS are rotating from the same side. That's Anas and Hen's team on the bottom right side of the map. They look absolutely free right now, rotating in, but no one has zone. No one. So everyone has to move out, and it's in this treacherous mountainous terrain. It's going to be so tricky to move in. The bottom teams, they already go for it. Savage, Resguard, and Dreda, they look good for where they were, but they're trapped. This is disaster.
It is like a conga line, but instead of everyone dancing and having a good time, moving the way forward, it's as if everyone's trying to fight for that front spot in the conga line. That's what we're talking about. The brawl is about to go down. In about 5 seconds, you're already seeing the rotations happen. Red Rush, our second place team, already out and moving forward. Our first place team, not yet did safely. Look, all many people are ahead of them. They might just go ahead and decide, maybe we should just get some elims, considering that this rotation may be way too deadly for them to survive.
Savage, Dreader, and Refsguard, you're right, have to play perfectly to hold on to this first place spot. Right now, it's going to be trouble. Red Rush has tied up the game entirely. They have 1 elim kind of separating them. It's a 2-point difference. Savage moving in, not a comfortable spot. He's used the low gun, but he finally finds a way to roll in. That's on to second place. Yes, Mappy down. They're looking to grasp first place by the throat and take them out. Savage looking for the finish. Finally finds Exterios down as well towards the backside. This is looking so good for their chance to win out on day 2 as well.
Wow, what it would be a statement to be made to the EU region to come out on top, a newly formed trio here with 2 elims and great positioning.
They're playing patient down on mid ground. I was talking about Sun and Jules all the way on height. It looks like Queasy, yes, did go up and overtake them while they were going for, you know, that baseball game of putting your hand over the other hand on the bat over and over. It looks like Fastroki has high ground as well now somehow. Jerky actually gave it up to move fast ways in. 6th zone, the zone's already moving. It's going way up the highest mountain available on the island. You have to stay ahead of it. Even popping a mini like Tayson is right now could ruin your game.
This is what we're talking about. The fight for the top of the mountain. The king of the hill right here will be able to walk away with game 6 as all these trios are doing in 12 games to be the kings on top of the EU mountain. Savage, Resguard, and Dreda still late on the rotations, but no eyes looking their way. Look at their mats. So much has been expended down to the soft match as you're seeing Zayko take a knock on Flois here.
Here we go.
Pizza and Fastroki here on the height. Tayson up there from second from height, but Stacey is there as well. Can Pizza, Fastroki, and Ardent hold on? They are now at the top of the summit and they're gonna turn and burn, but so many trios are right behind them on their back step here. Ardent, Fastroki, Pizza are sitting on height. Jerky, Queasy, and Trulix here, not an opportunity to take it, but Andalix is just right there. He might be able to sneak up from the backside.
Everyone's found their footing on this mountain, but the incline's making everything look so slippery. Thomas HD, he gets wrecked. He falls to Wakey. It's looking like trouble. Savage finds another Elam. He's surviving somewhere down below. Pizza has to build higher, higher, and higher. Refsguard is finding more while Hen thrives as well. Down on low, it's a fist fight. Absolute brawl. Jerky's in the mess too. Pizza takes them out. He gets close and personal for the match. It's dangerous.
Great
but
match.
now it's time to move off that mountain. Look at the zone, Sancho. They're going straight down to absolute low ground. Once again, have to jump off and slide down the way. Wakey takes so many shots. Ardent falling like a Jenga tower down the bills. He has nothing to hold him through, and he falls all of height, taking out Tayson and Fastroki are the only ones left after 5 different squads. Andulex, X-Squeeze, and Snazy are the gatekeepers down below, but even they don't survive. Fastroki down below, Flick taken out on height. It might be Hen and Chapix with Janice, the ones who were almost taken out at the start of this game to win at the very end. Fastroki down to a threat of HP, taken out mid-air. And my goodness, what a story for the final game. What a story for our FNCS champions to come back in game 6.
10 eliminations and the victory royale. My voice is going to catch up, but that was an echo that will last all the way to tomorrow. The defending champions say, not so fast, Shia. We're here to defend the crown.
Sancho, they were down so bad in the zone, eating apples, corn. They were scavenging. I was watching Save the World, man. It was so weird for this trio to come all the way in the back, survive the hardest zone we've seen in FNCS history. I'm going to say it. That is the hardest zone to play, and to come in first, they're still in champion form.
Unbelievable. And to be able to save not only the world, but their run for a repeat championship back-to-back. I am Sancho West alongside with Shio. That was just day 1. We still have day 2. 6 more games to determine who's on the top. Let's kick it to the top analysts in the EU region, Reese, Levin, and my boy, Zeke, for the host.
The back-to-back, the dream, it's still alive. Guys, last season's trios, I mean, I literally cannot stress this enough. We have not seen this trio all season long. And if you just have to look at the raw numbers, you're thinking, we haven't seen them. Look at all these other trios. Look how great they're doing. Then they show up and say, I'm sorry, did you forget who's holding the Axe of Champions? Because that's us. That's not anybody else. That's us, Zeke. My apologies, Janice. I'm sorry. Y'all are absolutely insane. And you know what, Reese? This was a fantastic way to close out the first 6 games in EU.
Yeah, it was really, really good to watch. It was actually very, very similar to game 1 because obviously we saw pretty much exactly the same zone coming from that mountain, moving down to Camp Cod. However, it was a bit mirrored for our team, right? Because we noticed in Janice Champix in that last game, we were one of the teams who were stuck on the high ground, who got shot out, who fell down to Vidil and Noah Riley in game number 1. Game number 6, they've learned their mistake. They knew exactly what they did wrong in that game 1, went straight down all the way down to the low ground, and they were the ones in that commanding position purely because of the huge change in verticality from there. Realistically, I was kind of worried about the teams who haven't played this season, you know? Like, I was worried about these guys thinking, how are these going to perform after not playing through the qualifiers, not playing through the semifinals? I should not have been worried about these guys at all.
Yeah, honestly, I think there were obviously concerns there. There were obviously concerns and reasonable concerns. When you see the level of play we've had from qualifier to qualifier, even in the reboot round and the semi-finals, definitely causes for concern. But at the end of the day, class is class, and these guys remain one of the best trios in the world. I can't stress that enough. The cast has emphasized how amazing it is that, you know, the back-to-back potential's there. Back-to-back in trios, we've seen back-to-back in other modes and whatnot, but back-to-back in trios for these guys would be historic, and it's really possible now with those kind of games. You know, last FNCS finals, they won 3 games out of the 12. They've already won 2, right? So tomorrow maybe they win one out of more consistent games, and they're looking at a back-to-back championship. Who knows? I'm getting a bit excited. I am getting excited, but genuinely phenomenal stuff from these guys today.
Well, let's take a look at our standings and see where every trio is. Remember, this sets the stage going into tomorrow's games. Now, take a look, though. Revsguard, Andretta, and Savage. After all that has happened on the day, they are still holding out in that number 1 spot. But Hen, Janice, Chapix, our Chapter 2 Season 5 champions, are right behind them, Reese. They are right there.
Like, look how close the top 5 here is. 13 points between them all. Remember earlier, you know, we were looking back at the top of the show through the kind of Asia results, and there's only 20 points between 1st down till 10th. There is 51 points here. So a huge difference between the kind of the top, but that top 5 is looking really, really good right now. And these aren't just the names we keep seeing in the end game, funnily enough, that managed to get up to the top 5 as well. You know, we've seen huge performances from every single one of these trios today. And look, that's what's climbed them all the way up to the top of the leaderboards.
Yeah, this is a crazy, crazy set of leaderboards going into tomorrow, because look at 1st and 2nd. That's 1 point. 1 point differential we're talking about here. And yeah, this is going to cause for a lot of chaos tomorrow in terms of just the levels of excitement, the levels of hype. You look at Forziar, Tayson, and Nate, they're involved in this one. Queasy, Trudex, and Jericho, who we talked about how consistent they've been on hype. Kiriachi, Stormer, and Tusu have sort of been a sleeper team, even though they've literally been in the top 10 like the whole day.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like we don't see much of them, but they clearly are one of the more consistent teams today. And so I'm really excited to see sort of how these sort of games play out across tomorrow. Some of these teams definitely have the potential to improve on what they've built today, but for the teams at the very top, it's going to be about maintaining the standard.
Yeah, and like they've been doing that so far. 6 games deep. Like I said, these are the big names on the region that we keep seeing over and over again. You know, Flickernas and Thomas, they've kind of been bouncing around between the top 10 to kind of that 11th till 15th slot. They've been going up and down, up and down, up and down. But I mentioned this at the top of the show, right? 2 seasons ago, season 4, these guys were in 14th and they managed to clutch all the way back up to 3rd. So being in 8th right now, this might be a familiar position for them, right? They might think, you know what, we're comfortable here. Yeah. We know they have that confidence that they can clutch huge in the second day. And you know what? Even though after this is still an incredible performance being 8, no doubt. For these guys, they're looking for a championship. They're not looking for an 8. And they must go into 100%. Day 2 with the confidence that they have, and they know that they can do that.
Yeah, and for that trio in particular, the one thing that sort of has surprised me about their performance has been games where we've seen them struggle with Surge. You mean to tell me these guys can actually now go away, come back tomorrow, and just, you know, sort of plan out and avoid these issues that they've had with Surge out of 30? These guys will be fine. These guys will be fine. So look, I'm excited to see who's done sort of well. Let's take a look at that next page though, right? Because beyond the top 10, there have been a couple other teams who have impressed us, right? The likes of Joe, Stompy, and Shadow, who have won a game today. Same thing for Noah Riley, Vido, and Reason, who I want to highlight these guys in particular because they started off the day well. They started off the day, you know, how you mean to finish is what I referred to it as earlier, winning that first game. But since then, it's been a downhill spiral for them. And it's funny because they're next to another team who you'd expect to be doing a lot better in Anderlecht, Snazy, and X-Weez.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've not really talked about Anderlecht, Snazy, X-Weez much. They've made sure they didn't have an ego about this drop, right? We know these guys are really, really good at Kai Corner, and that's where they've been the whole season. But Zico's team was very, very focused on landing there, so they kind of dipped out. They said, we're going to go Weather Station, we're going down to Camp Cod. And you know what? So far, it's not necessarily been too great for them because, again, these are guys who are looking for a championship title, not necessarily guys who are looking to be down in the middling, right? Not necessarily being down here. Same with kind of Noah, Verdeel, and Reason as well. So I think day 2, we could see some kind of strategies change up. You know, Anderlecht's maybe go going back to Catty Corner, maybe a bit more of a 50-50 drop. I don't know. I'm not necessarily think that's the right play, but maybe we'll see it tomorrow. Same with Vidil and O'Reilly. They might struggle with their surge a little bit today, so they might go and fight some other team instead.
Reese, it really frustrates me with that trio in particular, because Anderlecht and ASIC squeezed, a characteristic of some of the best teams in the game is that, you know, they will stick with their spot. They garner that respect, and seeing a top trio like them back off, definitely alarming, and it hasn't necessarily paid out for them. Regardless though, we will come back tomorrow. Let's take a look at the team who has really been in the spotlight today. Refsgaard, Entrata, and Mr. Savage. What a day it's been for them. You know, we talk about Mr. Savage finally getting that first FNCS championship to sort of, you know, put in the collection of accomplishments he's had so far in his career. Same can be said for the likes of Entrata and Refsgaard. These guys have been phenomenal today, Reese.
They haven't. You know, like I, like many people, I say Mr. Savage is the best solo player in EU. You know, I've done a statistical analysis. Yeah, it's an opinion, but I've done the statistics to back it up. But he's proving right now today that he not only is that, he's also one of the best team players in the world, coming in first after that kind of day one. So playing so well, Refsgaard and Entrata as well. And you can see the stats straight up. Elims versus the top 10 teams, they've had 17 Elims total against the teams who are in the top 10 currently, which is huge because these guys are knocking out people who are super, super important in their own games. Same with full trio Elims. They've had 4, so they're wiping out 4 full trios, which may not seem that much. That does mean that they're actually committing fully to the fights after they get like a tag or maybe a single knock on a body somewhere, that they're fully going in for that and claiming those points. Remember, it's 2 points per Elim, so they're really capitalizing as much as they can off of the advantages that they get earlier on.
Yeah, you can see here they had 5 top 10 games. You know, 5 out of the 6 games coming top 10. Isn't too bad. Isn't too bad whatsoever. And the average placement of 8th there as well. These guys have been incredibly consistent, but we keep on referencing this. We've seen that in the past. Last FNCS, you saw a similar thing with Cammie's trio. Day 2, they weren't able to sort of keep that standard. We take a look though at game 1, bringing it all the way back to that first game. What a win it was for Reason, O'Reilly, and Vidil. You thought that they would come out and continue on this pace. You thought they were going to come out today and sort of, you know, consistently have these pop-off games. It hasn't been that way. It's been the O'Reilly, Vidil, and Reason of old where they have a pop-off, but things sort of filter out from there.
Yeah, hopefully they get more pop-offs tomorrow. Like I said, 2 days, plenty of opportunities to do so, but a team that has been popping off through all 6 of the games, Savage, Refsgaard, and Drea, we mentioned them already. And this was game number 2 that they won by Mr. Savage using the heal-off strategies that we already mentioned and went over, we saw on the broadcast, taking a single tick to zone, using the medkit instead, and then the corn in the inventory, which isn't necessarily something we see too often, but I think we've been seeing a lot of corn plays. You know, I make a lot of memes about the cabbages, but we've seen a lot of corny plays today, if I may say so.
Anything you need to win. Anything you need to win. Zeke's loving that one.
Yeah.
Plays.
That's a Zeke classic right there. That's his kind of joke.
That's Zeke's kind of joke. Look, Stompy, Joe, and Shadow have been no joke because when they won this game, it really sort of solidified them as a top dog in this lobby. You know, they are one of the dominant height teams, and they have the potential to have games like game 3 where they will just sort of win out from height. You see Tayson, they're crawling around below. He stands no chance when these 3 are up on height and healthy. You can see now they're going to just drop down and sort of close out the game. Stompy hitting the pivotal shots. Like, these guys are a real threat coming into tomorrow.
They are, but they only capitalized on that one game, and that's what he mentioned about their inconsistent strategies going for height. But again, people who have consistently managed to capitalize on those games, Hen, Janice, and Chapix, this was their first victory royale of the day, game number 4, after this was them winning 4 off-spawn fights in a row, and they were kind of finishing that off in real fashion. Obviously, the game 5, they ended up losing off-spawn, but game number 4 here, this was massive. This was definitely, I think, a pivotal moment for me and you, because we look at this and we go, these guys could win. They could win the whole tournament while being contested. And this in EU is something completely new.
Yeah, 100%, right? Like, for this team to sort of, you know, come and win a back-to-back FNCS. It's funny, right? Because Guild have the only other, well, Guild have one of the few back-to-back FNCS champs there is in all of Fortnite. And for them to have 2 more on their roster would be pretty funny, right? It would make sense. But look, this game here, Queasy, Trulex, and Duriki, they were really consistent today in terms of being, you know, a threat on high ground. They finally were able to get that victory royale that sort of cemented them in our minds as being one of the top teams of today. It's just about whether they can do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, because again, we've mentioned they are super focused on hype, but there are so many teams who are. Again, this was the final game of the day. Remember, 6 more tomorrow, where we did see our current champions go down onto low ground on this honestly chaotic zone. Just look at the way that this is moving. All these players had barely any builds remaining, but Hen, Janus, and Chapix just staying on the ultra low, pressuring the teams up above. And what could any team do in this position? Fustroki, he's got no chance, and you can see him being fully eliminated. The huge plays coming up from Hen, Janus, Chapix, knowing that zone went bad for them in that first game, changing up their strategy in game 6, beautiful.
Man, what a fantastic first showing of the finals here in Europe. But that about wraps up the competition as far as day 1 is concerned. I know, I don't want to go either, Levin. But don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place for the final 6 matches in EU, where we will crown a new trios champion. Could that be the back-to-back? Or could someone new step up? Could it be Savage? Who knows? Tomorrow, we will find out. Don't forget, as you guys are watching, we're going over to NA East. That will begin very shortly. We've got 6 matches there. We've got 6 matches in NA West. So make sure you're coming on through and keeping up with all the action, because it will not disappoint. As always, Fortnite fam, we love you. We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see you on the Battle Bus.
Beep, beep.